Welcome to Riviera Rats, a Palm d'Or podcast. I'm Bill.
And I am Greg.
And this is a show where we talk about movies for 3 hours while I secretly fantasize about ways to kill Greg and also accuse him of not taking care of things.
Today will be no exception. Let's get this moving.
Thanks to all of Greg's friends and family who send me notes through him. I really appreciate it. Glad to hear from you. Glad to hear you're listening.
I think they can all tell you're having a good day.
Today is all about me because we are covering the Cannes Film Festival. That was the year that I was born. Two magical things happened in the summer of 1977, which is that Sophia Loren returned to Cannes. And then 2 months later, I arrived on this planet. And it's never been the same.
One was Cannes and the other was canned.
Greg, how are you?
I'm doing all right. This was an interesting batch of movies. The 70s and 80s are where things get really arty and really international.
Yes, except that in the 80s, even if I don't like it, I think, I'm glad I watched that. That was interesting. Whilst in the 70s, it's really, there is a lot of like Eurotrash basket lining that I'm like, my life is no different.
Yeah, there's, we'll get to them, but there's like 4 or 5 titles where, but I've completely ejected them from my memory, and I had to go back through the internet to remind myself what they were. And that's not just an indictment of my memory with sleep apnea. Like, these movies were dull.
Us trying to bring these movies up at parties just to justify the fact that we spent time watching them is going to be like that woman I met at a party who told me how she went and saw Minions 5 times, 4 without her kids, because it just made her feel so much better about life.
There's gays in Toronto who refer to us as those guys who need to talk about Romy Schneider.
You wanted me to point this out the last time we talked about the Bosnian War with No Man's Land, and Rwanda was first. I get my 90s human atrocities confused. And since we last recorded, Valerie Perrine passed away, 1943 to 2026. She won Best Actress at Cannes for Lenny in 1975, and I was going to say an OnlyFans, Jesus Christ. A GoFundMe was started after her death for her funeral. And it's not funny, for her funeral costs. And I'm really hoping that it, that all is not what it seems, because that's very sad if that is the case, but a reality that many Americans are living through. So it's not something that I, shame her for or anything like that. But also, our GoFundMe's like verified.
Yeah, they are.
I can't start one for her pretending to be her family and collect thousands of dollars from people.
Oh, that piece. I think there are stopgaps for people to say like that's not valid to get them to take it down. But in theory, you could start one up. Yeah.
Because I also wonder about all these celebrity GoFundMe's,
Well, when you die, I'm going to start an OnlyFans for your funeral costs.
Sorry, hold on. What are you going to charge, Greg? And how much do you think you're going to make?
It's just the catering. I'm just going to ask them to send finger funeral sandwiches with the crust taken off.
Fig Newtons, that's all you're going to be serving.
Fig Newtons and Tahiti treat.
We're like this with each other because we're both sad, Greg. Just in different ways.
This is true.
Yeah.
The sadness
You're not being thrown out of nightclubs yet, but like you'll get there. Don't worry. We all get there eventually. So like I said, we are doing the 1977 film festival when Padre Padrone won the Palme d'Or. Greg, start us off. Tell us about this festival.
This was the 30th Cannes Film Festival, and it took place from May 13th to May 27th of 1977. There was a new non-competitive section that only lasted a year called Le Passé Composé. It was only held in this year, but then developed into what became Un Certain Regard the next year, in combination with two other series, Les Yeux Fétis and L'air du Temps. Un Certain Regard is the brainchild of Gilles Jacob, who was like a delegate of the festival at this time, and that while Robert Favre-Lebré was president at this time. Speaking of Robert Favre-Lebré, he introduced the jury at this festival not in the most flattering fashion. For example, when he introduced Benoit Gros and Pauline Kael, he said, "Let me introduce Mrs. Gros and Mrs. Kael, whose intelligence can never be praised enough. And for her beauty, elegance, and grace, I give you Miss Marthe Keller." To which Marthe Keller, the actress, responded, "You might as well say I'm an idiot."
Yeah, Marta. Things really, like, this is a real shit show of a year.
Yeah.
Obviously, seeing as how I'm about to be born. I mean, it's a shit show of a can from top to bottom, and it's like off on the wrong foot from day one, and things never improve.
Yeah, there's major division between the jury members about what the prize winner should be. We're going to talk about it, division between the jury and the festival organizers about what the winner should be.
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if there was any division in the jury. We don't know anything about the jury.
I read through some of the articles you said, and it sounded like we had a militant president really pushing for his movie.
We don't know for sure. Every time I read an article about it, it sounds like something different. Gilles Jacob dedicates like a whole section of it, not a section.
Yeah.
Maybe half a chapter to this year.
Okay.
He watched Favre-Lebré pushing Rossellini and was like, don't fucking do it. It's not going to work out. And it didn't work out. And it taught him a lot about how to supervise juries without influencing them, which is why when he became president, when he would attend their meetings, he would focus mainly on making sure that they, don't split awards between two films and like keeping to the rules, but he never pushed in terms of choices. And a lot of it was from this year because Favre-Lebré really wanted a special day to win. He was in love with Sophia Loren, and he pushed really hard for it. And he possibly made them not choose it by pushing so hard on it.
Maybe. Yeah. Like he was being such a bitch that they're like, you know what? We're not going to go with your movie.
Yeah.
Since you mention it, the Fipresci Prize did go to the Palme d'Or winner of this festival. So it's that gives indication that this isn't like a Wild at Heart winning.
First of all, I think there's a lot of Italian racism involved in the way people talked about this festival, particularly accusations of bribery and corruption. Like Mafioso Man chose his Mafioso film.
Yeah.
But there is also something to be said about the fact that Rossellini picked a very Rossellini film. I mean, it has heavy touches of neorealism. It's very him. And I can understand why people would look at it and think he probably didn't give anyone a choice, but that's not actually possible.
And he was going anti-establishment. He's picking a formally experimental movie over one that is more establishment, aesthetically speaking.
Right. And Favre-Lebré was so pissed that he did not show at the ceremony, which is the only time a president has done that.
Critic Michael Giebert reports that it was actually Maurice Bessy, a writer and historian, a key figure of the Cannes Film Festival, but who didn't make it to the jury until a couple years later, who had promised Ettore Scola the Palme for a special day. Still to be confirmed. This is all conjecture. We talked about this before, but it's worth mentioning again. This is during Marcello Mastroianni's streak of having been in a competition film the most years in a row. He still has the record from 1977 to 1985. He had a movie in competition every year. His record is followed by Marion Cotillard, who had a movie in competition every year from 2011 to 2018. And then Isabelle Huppert is behind her with a streak from 1977 to 1983. And by streak, I mean the blood running down the bathtub in La Pianiste.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Other things I learned from Gilles Jacob are that he insists that members of the jury from this festival were apparently banned from ever being in Cannes again. And and we're never told this, and we don't really know if it's true. And that Roberto Rossellini a few days later wrote to Favre and said, "My dear Robert, let us not kill ourselves over a festival." Rossellini actually died 9 days after the conclusion of this festival, so the situation was never properly resolved.
Supposedly, Robert had an about-face, realized he embarrassed himself, and then offered for Roberto to come back in 1978.
That's right, but then he died, yes. Because one of the organizers phoned Rossellini to let him know that the festival had come around on the outrage. But I don't know if you watched any of those clips of journalists being interviewed, crowds being interviewed. There was a particular, generally, if a French film doesn't win anything, the French press will have something to say about it, about their own festival, and I get it.
Yeah.
But they seem to be really, really annoyed that no French film won anything this year, and everyone had something to say about it. My favorite being that French bitch who's like, why did they share Shelley Duvall with that Canadian woman? No one saw that film. No one cares about that Canadian movie.
Even though it's a French-Canadian movie.
Right, but also, like, why is a French woman talking about Canadian movies the way Canadians talk about Canadian movies? Like, come on, girl. That's our job. Don't worry about it. But so many people saying, why did Shelley Duvall have to share the award? If she was going to share the award, one guy was like, why didn't she share it with Isabelle Huppert, who we'll get to it, but she's like the breakout star of this festival, or Irene Papas, like, why was it?
Yeah.
So, and this reminded me of 2016, which is another year that I particularly remember, where the crowds had a lot to say about what the jury chose, where it's just, and again, there's always commentary about what the jury chooses, but it seems to be particularly thorny this year. People were in a mood. And then some of the people in those interviews are genuinely, properly upset that there weren't more prizes. Why is there only a Palme d'Or and acting prizes? Isn't that it?
Yeah, there's no jury prize.
Or grand jury prize.
And is there even a director prize?
No.
Or a screenplay prize? We're missing 4 prizes.
Yeah, so why?
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Particularly when so many of the films were acclaimed. So, anyway.
Why don't you tell us about the other sections of the festival, Bill?
All right, not too much to say here, but screening out of competition, we have La Bible by Marcel Carnet, a documentary by the director of Children of Paradise, right? That's Marcel Carnet.
And Le Jeu sur l'œuvre.
Marco Bellocchio brought Il Gabbiano. I've seen many of his films. I have not seen this one. Barbara Koppel brought her incredible Oscar-winning documentary, Harlan County, USA. This is after it won the Oscar. And it's so brilliant.
And for my money, the best movie showing in this entire festival, in or out of competition.
Jack Gold brought The Naked Civil Servant, which I believe is John Hurt playing Quentin Crisp, if I'm not mistaken. And the great Chantal Akerman brought her lovely film News from Home, which some people find dreadfully boring. I think it's incredible as a time capsule, if nothing else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great document.
Maybe if I watched it in 1977, I would have been bored because it just looked like my world. But to see New York in the late 70s laid bare with so little alteration is incredible.
And with low skylines and empty lots. And it is a real sight to behold.
We have Pumping Iron by George Butler and Robert Fiore. This is the movie that more or less made Arnold Schwarzenegger famous. It's a great documentary about bodybuilding. Yeah.
And he's such a pest in it.
He is, but he's also such a charismatic mischief maker, and it's very easy to see why he became a movie star despite not fitting into any proper category for that job.
Yeah.
Particularly in the era of like Robert Redford and Warren Beatty, And then we have George Roy Hill's Slapshot, the hockey film starring Paul Newman that I still have never seen, even though everyone loves it and I'm sure I'll love it. And Michael Keane is very cute skating in just his jockstrap.
It's the most you're going to enjoy a movie that so casually drops faggot.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
In Director's Fortnight, we have Aftenlandet by the great Peter Watkins, who died not too long ago. And if you're a listener of the Film Comment podcast, you might have enjoyed their very wonderful episode all about Watkins that I really liked. Usman Sembene brought Sedo to the festival. You watched this one recently. I've seen most of his movies. I get the titles confused. Which one's this one?
This one takes place during contact with the French, but before the French have administratively colonized the land.
Okay, I'm pretty sure I've seen this one. Hala is the one with the guy who can't get it up?
Yeah, Hala is fantastic.
Those are the two I get the titles confused.
And they're sort of treated as part of a trilogy.
Right. His films are all wonderful. There's only like 9 of them, so catching up with him isn't too difficult, but he's wonderful. Benoit Jacot showed Closet Children, Les Enfants du Placard in Director's Fortnight. And Robert Bresson showed The Devil Probably, Le Diable Probablement.
Have you seen this one?
No, I haven't.
Jacot is School of Flesh guy, right?
Yeah.
What's his most notable work? He's been around for decades.
I don't know that he has a most notable work because, like, I only ever followed him at film festivals.
Right.
And he probably made a really big hit in France that I'm not aware of.
Something I'm curious about.
It's kind of like, what is Gore Verbinski's biggest hit?
Yeah, okay.
Like, I think it's Pirates of the Caribbean, but that, like, he's...
Right.
And then Marta Mejaros brought Kilench Honyap to the festival. I've seen one of her films. I think it's called Diary for My Children, and I really liked it. So I'm really looking forward to watching more of her stuff. Really cool filmmaker.
Cool.
At the Academy Awards, Woody Allen's Annie Hall won the Best Picture prize, the first and last comedy to win Best Picture in forevs.
Until Anora.
Depending on how you feel about The Sting, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And the Best Foreign Language Film Award went to Madame Rosa, which is an Israeli movie, but it was submitted by France, starring Simone Signoret, and it was remade more recently with Sophia Loren, and I think it was called The Life Ahead, that one on Netflix a few years ago.
Oh, is this the sentimental claptrap one about the Jewish refugee?
Yes, and the kid. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, a kid. Okay. Next.
The Golden Bear of Berlin went to The Ascent by Larisa Shepitko. I love this movie so much. I think it's so awesome. It was her last film because, of course, she sadly died in a car accident not long after it was released.
The perfection of stillness.
And there's no Golden Lion because the Venice Film Festival was on a break.
Oh, why was it on break?
There was like 10 years that there was a Biennale, but there was no film festival. I don't really know why. Or there were movies that were screened, but there was no like jury and prizes. There was something to do with, I don't know. It's a turbulent time in Italian politics, and there was just something probably to do with funding or organizing that just wasn't working out in that time. So they don't come back until sometime in the early 80s. Greg, tell us anything about the jury that I haven't already spilled.
Our jury president is Roberto Rossellini, Italian filmmaker, the father of Italian neorealism, you could say, noted for pioneering the movement with his seminal Rome Open City. Rome Open City, we have mentioned in a past episode, was the winner of the first ever top prize at Cannes in 1946, back when it was still called the Grand Prix, which he won ex aequo with 10 other films. Each of the 11 films winning for a different national delegation that year. So this was the winner for Italy. He is none other than the father of Isabella Rossellini, with her mother, Ingrid Bergman.
You know, my father was the jury president at Cannes.
And my mother, Ingrid Bergman, was also a jury president at Cannes.
Yeah.
Rossellini had agreed to be the jury president on the condition that he be allowed to hold a symposium, and the organizers permitted this. And he's on record celebrating TV as a liberating medium for auteurs, and many people believe this to be the reason why he loved Padre Padrone so much.
Yeah, because he made television movies in the 70s because it was easier to finance.
Easier to finance, and at that time, because it was lower budget, they were easier to put out. The sense I get is there was more creative freedom, at least in Italian television, than there was in cinema.
Type of movie, yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, in Italy there was only 2 channels, so if people were going to see it.
Also on this jury, we have a Togolese author named Unsugan Agble-Magnon. This is an author and anthropologist who specializes in oral traditions of West Africa, specifically the Yu people of southern Togo. And he's done some sociological studies about them. We have a French producer named Anatole Dauman. This is the guy who founded Argos Films. You might know it by the logo with the owl eyes on it and the triangle. He put out a number of Rive Gauche films by Alain Resnais and Chris Marker. But he also has, in his filmography as a producer, 2 or 3 things I know about her: Masculin Féminin, Au hasard Balthazar, Mouchette, and Chronique de l'été.
Nothing special.
Yeah, nothing to write home about. Only a decade of French cinema. And speaking of that decade of French cinema and the Rive Gauche, we've got Agnes Varda's late husband, Jacques Demy. Do you call him the late husband if she's also dead?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, he died a long time before her.
Yeah, 27 years before.
Yeah.
Jacques Demy, our other top prize winner in this jury. He won for the Umbrellas of Cherbourg in 1964, which brought back the grand prize for another 10 years in place of the Palme d'Or before the organizers finally got their shit together and just landed on the Palme d'Or.
That's right.
He's distinguished from his peers in the French New Wave as being the sincere auteur, the one who leans deeper into genre with passion and earnestness, seeming to really love genre, not just as an ironic or distancing gesture. Would you say?
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, that's just a nice way to talk about that he's gay. Like his genre was musicals. Whereas the other guys were obsessed with Warner
Monster
Brothers
movies.
gangster films, right?
Yeah.
And I guess they did do them more ironically than he did. But his musicals are kind of ironic too. I mean, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg is a musical with no musical numbers. They're always singing, but they're never actually doing a musical.
But as I remember it, I haven't seen it since I was early teenager.
It's still magical.
I remember it never feeling like it's winking or in brackets.
No. But it is stretching the definition of the genre.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But he brought, I think what they're also talking about is the fact that he brought a childlike sincerity to the way he made his movies. There was an innocence to them that wasn't twee or feeble. And I love the world of Jacques Demy, as Varda named it, even though not all of his films are as good as his best ones, but he was wonderful. And we don't know for sure that he was gay, but he wore tight sweaters and then died of AIDS while married to a woman. And I think that they were genuinely in love, but I don't think that it was a conventional marriage.
That makes her really cool. Also on this jury, we have Mexican writer Carlos Fuentes. He's a Mexican writer and diplomat who wrote experimental novels. Most popular is The Death of Artemio Cruz from 1962, which explored Latin American identity and history. The Guardian in 2012 called him Mexico's most celebrated novelist. We have Benoit Groux, French writer. I've now pronounced this person's name in 3 different ways, but I think
Benoit.
I just got it right. Benoit.
Because Benoit is a guy.
Yes, and you have to pronounce the T if there's an E at the end. This is a French writer and feminist activist known for her essays on women's rights, and her most famous book is Les Vaisseaux de Cour, Salt on Our Skin, published in the late 70s, which challenged gender norms in post-war France. We've got a mega critic, Pauline Kael, American journalist and film critic, probably the most famous film critic in American history after Roger Ebert. Yeah. She was really provocative. She is associated with a number of controversies in film criticism. She challenged Andrew Sarris's adaptation of the auteur theory. Mm-hmm. She pissed off Peter Bogdanovich by saying that Citizen Kane is not a work of individual genius. She got fired from McCall's for writing a review of The Sound of Music called The Sound of Money. You can imagine what that was saying. But she was also famous for celebrating movies that were not popular and then changing public opinion. She championed Bonnie and Clyde when everybody else was writing about how excessively gory it was. She wrote about Nashville, praising how amazing it was going to be while it was still in production, because she was a guest on the set. And she championed early De Palma more than any other critic. She bullied David Lean one time, making him cry. He said to her in some party, he said to her, like, what are you saying, that I should stop making any kind of movie, and I should not indulge in these kinds of practices, and I'm not allowed to use color. And he goes on this long list of all the things that she's accused him of doing and the things he should not be allowed to do. And then she says, no, I didn't say all of that. You can still use color.
She's an iconoclast, I believe, is the word we use for her. And I miss that era. Like, it's the closest Americans ever came to that French culture of intellectual superstars, is when we had famous film critics who battled it out in public like a T-Rex and a raptor. She never took anything personally. She loved a good fight. She did not like it when people agreed with her too much. She had her Kaelites that followed her everywhere, and she didn't really like it. She got insulted if you just sat and sort of basked in her glory. She wanted to spar with people. You have to read Brian Kello's biography of her. It's an incredible read. Both of his biographies that I read are amazing, and then he died of a brain tumor. Interesting fact about her also is that she wrote for the New Yorker, and she was never flush with cash. The reason why her reviews were frequently collected and published as books is because it was what helped supplement her income so that she could live comfortably. My favorite thing about her, though, is that her phone number was listed in the phone book, and if people called her, and if she wasn't on a deadline, she would talk about movies to whoever called. And her phone number was one digit off from a local movie theater. So people would often call her, mistakenly thinking they were calling the movie theater, and they would ask her for the show times, and she would always keep that theater's schedule next to her phone and just give it to them without correcting the fact that she wasn't actually the movie theater.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Rounding off this this jury, we have Swiss actress Marte Keller, who gained international acclaim for dramatic roles in movies like Marathon Man. She had started her career in ballet, but then broke out with that movie, which got her a Golden Globe nom.
And she was actually very elegant and graceful and beautiful, and is. I think she's still alive. She was on that show, The Romanovs, a few years ago.
She was also an idiot.
Yeah.
And she was Uncertain Regard president in 2016.
Oh, okay.
And we've got Yuri Ozerov, Soviet filmmaker, renowned for epic war films. I guess we would just describe him as patriotic films. He's been given a bunch of cultural order of the Russian, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. He's never presented in competition at Cannes. I couldn't see if he had ever shown a movie there out of competition. Bill, let's get on with the competition.
Let's get it on, Greg. All right. This is exciting. I don't know why I said that. It's not. All right. Not too many awards to go through, but first up, we have the Best Actor prize going to Fernando Rey for Elisa, vida mia. Wrongly translated as Elisa, my life, because that's literally what that means, but it's calling someone my dear more than my life. It's like Greek people say matiamu for someone they love, which literally means my eyes, but it's not. You're not calling someone your eyes.
Your eyes.
In your eyes. This film is directed by Carlos Saura, who originally was here with Los Golfos in 1960, which I finally found a DVD copy of.
Oh, cool.
And then with Anna and the Wolves, which we covered, My Cousin Angelica, Cría Cuervos, which is my favorite, which I say every time we cover him, Blindfolded Eyes, Carmen in 1983, for which he won the Technical Grand Prize, and he won the Grand Jury Prize for Cría Cuervos, and then lastly, El Dorado in 1988. He died just a few years ago, but he hadn't been at Cannes in a very long time, and I don't know if there's a reason for that, a pointed reason. This movie is about two sisters and the one sister's husband who come to visit their estranged father on his birthday in his sort of remote country house. Mm-hmm. One of them decides to stay, played by Geraldine Chaplin as Elisa, and he's working on his autobiography. She's keeping her husband at bay, and while she's there, the past comes to haunt them. This is during the time that Geraldine is together with Carlos as his life partner, so she was cast in a lot of his films. Usually he found an excuse for her accent. It's interesting that in this movie he doesn't. It's kind of like Juliette Binoche playing Billy Bob Thornton's sister, but that's okay. This is a thoughtful movie. It's not a particularly riveting one. It's not boring, but for all that it sort of spends its time really delving into people's feelings and emotions and memories, it is amazing how little it comes up with for me to take home with me.
I agree. It's not a victory lap after Cria Cuervos. It seems more like the B-sides.
Absolutely. And like I said, I enjoyed it. Her elusiveness works better for this character than anything I've seen him cast her in. But for a movie that has this very interesting setup, and then there's an air of provocation to it. You know, the fact that she plays her own mother, so that in one scene it kind of looks like he's fucking his daughter, because Fernando Rey is his same age in the memory sequences. So,
which means we get our incest quotient.
Right, but not. It's just a visual trick, and so it's like, why isn't this movie impressing me more? Given that it has all these like, aesthetic flexes they're just not. He's digging and he's not getting anything out of the ground, basically.
No, and I understand in the 70s he's doing this because things are still thawing post Franco. He cannot yet overtly express his politics.
No, but he can. I mean, so many artists and filmmakers, like literally the minute that man died, the country exploded in joy and expression.
Oh, because I read David Thompson was in his write-up about him was saying that like he's still working within constraints, and for that reason he's working creatively through the phantasmagorical and the surreal, and that's why we get these outbursts of violence that are sort of baked in illusion.
Okay, I mean, David Thompson researched it much better and more thoroughly than I did, so
or he didn't.
Or he's talking about what Saura himself is internally, personally challenged by.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe it's that he's still stuck in that mode coming out of that period.
Because the way Almodovar talks about that period, I don't do that on purpose. I make that mistake all the time. Hi, Mike. And yes, I do know what Isabelle Huppért's hands look like. The way Almodovar talks about that period is that basically that Franco's power was waning, and before he died anyway, things were already starting to loosen up, as often happens with dictators. So that when he dies, La Movida is just like all over the place, and people simply aren't feeling any constraints whatsoever. But I could be wrong, But certainly, it's not surprising to me that the directors who are making movies in this period after Franco's death are very much concerned with the past overlapping with the present and the effect that it has and all that stuff. And again, I thought this is a thoughtful movie. As I said, it's just not a resonant one. I wanted to like it so much more.
And we have a much better example of the past merging with the present in Angelopolis, which we'll get to.
Yeah, and in Cria Cuervos, which is like also concerned with a lot of similar themes, particularly thorny relationships between father and daughter, and the past and the present. Also, I thought the sister in this movie was terrible. I thought that was a really bad performance. I felt like I was watching bad soap opera.
She's in it so slightly, I didn't even notice.
I know, which is why it amazed me that anyway.
Sorry, I just want to ask you before we move on, what do you think of the Fernando Rey win?
Oh, right. I meant to talk about that. Yes, I am fine with him winning. I don't feel passionately about anybody else in this festival, and I think it's a lovely performance. I think Fernando Rey should have a Best Actor prize. I would prefer it if it was for a Buñuel film where he really gets to show his like kinky side, and to show how perfectly he fit into that brittle sense of perverse humor that Buñuel had. But I think it's a perfectly fine win. It's a respectable choice.
It is a respectable choice. It strikes me as a career win.
Yeah.
And there actually are 2 other performances I like more than this one. But we'll get to those.
He would not die until 1994.
Oh, he lived forever.
He's only 60 here. It's just that he looks older.
Well, back in these decades, everybody looked older than they do now at the same age.
Yeah.
Like in Madame Rosa, Simone Signoret is probably the same age as Demi Moore is right now.
Simone Signoret always looked very old because she was like a very heavy smoker. Yeah, I don't think she was that old when she died. Best Actress is awarded to 2 films this year. The first one is Shelley Duvall in 3 Women by Robert Altman. Altman first came to Cannes with MASH, for which he won the Palme d'Or. Then Images, Fool for Love, Aria, The Player, which he won Best Director for, and then Kansas City. I can't wait to watch the other films that we're going to talk about. I can't wait to watch Images again. And MASH, of course. In this film, a shy introvert, played by Sissy Spacek, starts working at a seniors rehab spa and falls under the sway of a confident, chatty, but socially isolated colleague, thoroughly modern Millie, as we like to call her, played by Shelley Duvall. And they enter a friendship that becomes combative after an accident switches their positions. The third woman is a painter whose images, all created by the male artist Bodie Wind, provide a sinister commentary on the action, and the script is inspired by Robert Altman's dreams. It's interesting to watch this movie right after Mulholland Drive because I was like just there's a lot of connections. Yeah,
I know. We could have made a triptych if we had just done the May-December year before that.
Was this your first time watching this?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was mind-blowing.
I have watched this movie like 10 times. I never get sick of it. I love everything about it. If you talk to Heather about this movie, she gets really mad at you. She doesn't want to talk about it.
Why?
Really, I don't know. It's weird in a way that really upsets her. She's like, don't talk to me about that movie. The movie's fucking weird. It is fucking weird. This movie is so 70s.
I know.
Penthouse Chicken and Banana Pops. But it's so modern at the same time. And postmodern.
And it's modern in its practices. The way this movie was conceived, greenlit, and created, it makes it seem like a divine miracle. First of all, Altman came up with the idea for this movie because he dreamed it while sitting next to his ailing wife in a hospital. Yeah. He had dreamed about 2 women in a desert landscape, one of them committing identity theft of the other. And he had dreamed that they were played by Spacek and Duvall.
Yeah, because he'd worked with both of them.
Yeah. He then wrote the ideas down, went back to sleep, and continued dreaming up like the rest of the first treatment. He then got author Patricia Resnick to write a first draft of its story, but there was never a screenplay per se. They would improvise every day of shooting, and they shot the whole movie in sequence.
That's how he made all his movies anyway.
Yeah, and but he got this movie approved with no screenplay whatsoever on the basis of MASH's runaway success and the fact that he always got movies completed under budget.
Yeah. He was still hot. He doesn't come to a crash until the early 80s.
Well,
which is when all these directors in this period, all...
In this movie is one of his first hits, too. He stayed within budget, but then it went over in distribution. But just the fact that it's created that way, and it's created so inductively and collaboratively, and he lets happy accidents happen. For example, Shelley Duvall accidentally gets her dress caught in a door of her car, and he said, no, keep it in. And then for the rest of the movie, made sure that she always had her dress caught in the car.
That's right.
He let Shelley Duvall write a lot of her character and a lot of her character's dialogue. So her diary entries, her recipes, her decor, the way she dresses.
And the way she's just nattering on all the time.
Her dating tips. I mean, this Best Actress award is so deserved for how much of it is authored by her.
And also, and whether it is or not, just how brilliant she's brilliant. She never shuts the fuck up, and I never want her to stop. It is so funny when she's like leaving work and she's talking to whoever is around, even though no one's listening to her. She's just background noise to them. We don't like the twins. All the other, nobody like hates anybody, but everyone just keeps to themselves. She takes Sissy Spacek under her wing, but then starts to hate her in a little sister kind of way. First of all, I forgot that there was ever this era where you became roommates with someone and you shared a room with them. Like they're living in I Love Lucy beds in the same bedroom when they live together.
Go sleep on the couch. I'm having a boy over.
But I don't know if you noticed, after the switch, Sissy is sitting in the other bed painting her nails after the fall and the coma and everything when she comes back home.
The reason why the switch works and doesn't piss us off is because Shelley is the through line. Sissy is doing a fantastic job, but Sissy truly comes under the person. There's a true split, and Shelley only changes adaptively. She's reacting to her. She becomes more.
She represents us because she's confused.
Yeah.
But I love that the film never gives us a cogent explanation, other than the fact that like we just find out it's all a dream, and that they're actually mother and daughter. But it's not really explained. Like the couple that, you know, her parents come to the hospital, and you know, we never finish that conversation about the fact that she doesn't know who they are.
No, it's like a surreal diversion thing. We spent the last episode talking about how we mostly get Mulholland Drive, and what makes it exciting is like the selvage where it doesn't tidily tie up.
Yeah.
But this movie is truly nebulous and exciting in that way.
Including, there's a point at which I'm like, girl, you've had a job long enough. Buy a second pair of underwear, please. Her saying, I'm famous for my dinner parties. It's so funny. Because it's like, no one wants your dinner parties. Even your friends cancel at the last minute. You're not famous for anything.
I have one question. How would that jump into that pool put anybody in a coma?
I don't know.
Other than that it's in a dream. I assume that the pool is shallow and she hit the concrete below.
Maybe, or she belly flopped and hit the surface like concrete. Or if it was just really cold.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I don't get that either.
I enjoyed reading up about the movie and the making of it, that Altman wanted Spacek to chug a whole beer, and she threw up the first time. She first threw up, and then he said, "Are you going to be able to do this again?" She's like, "Yeah, I got it." And then she chugged the second one successfully.
And then let's not ignore Janice Rule, who also played the reporter in Missing, giving this incredibly subtle, gorgeous performance as this haunting woman in the background. It is interesting how little time she has, even though the movie is called Three Women, that she is this kind of ominous tonality in the background.
But I don't recall, up to this point, him making a movie that was so original in its mise en scène. Like all of the yellows and the lilacs, the way the murals on the pool, the way the camera slithers through scenes.
And also that has this very heavy feminine energy. Like he always had great parts for women in his movies. And I don't consider them guy movies, but this is a very female film in its mode, you know? Like it's very The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman. Like it's very that.
Yeah, it's Valley of the Dolls. It's soap opera.
Even more serious, like it feels like I feel like psychological studies could benefit from exploring how this movie tries to get into the psyche of the 70s woman, you know.
I'm sure people have tried. Anyway, I just love this movie. Was so happy to have watched it. Can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah, it's so great. The Best Actress prize is shared with Monique Mercure for J.A. Martin, photographe, J.A. Martin, photographer, by Jean Baudin from Canada. A housewife in late 19th century Quebec decides to join her photographer husband on his annual trip to the clients that provide a major portion of their annual income, and in doing so restores the distance in a relationship that is falling apart. This is a very Heritage Canada movie.
Yep.
At first glance, it's a movie that people who don't want to watch Wind Up My Back will want to sit through.
Yeah.
But I actually really enjoyed this film. I appreciated that. I think that if you're gonna give two acting prizes, it's more interesting if you give two completely different performances a prize.
I agree.
And like, I don't know that Shelley Duvall up against a Melina Mercouri is enough of a, and I know that the name sounds similar, but it's that kind of performance that she's giving. And I don't know if that's enough of a contrast, but I do
Yeah.
appreciate her performance. But I think this movie could have been a jury prize. Like, it's a lovely film. I think its heart is exactly in the right place. I love
Yep.
how understated it is. There are so many things that happen in this movie that are not explicitly dramatized for us, like the boy's mother dying and the way she comforts him by just with a glance. There's a lot of subtlety in her performance and a lot of ripe joy and whatever. And then of course the movie is very like 70s feminism, right? Marriage and motherhood overpower the inner wild free self, and she needs to have this chance to let her out. I don't know. I think this movie is really enjoyable and just really lovely.
Yeah, I thought it went down easy. It's tender, but not saccharine. I thought I was a bit put off that Marcel Sabourin is in 2 Canadian movies in this competition.
That's right.
I don't know if I need to see Bon Iver that much on screen. And I described her in my Letterboxd review as the byway Barbara Hershey. But
huge star in French Canada at the time.
I believe that, and actually, this movie, its legacy has waned in the last few decades because the legacy of Canadian cinema is that much longer. But in the 1980s, when Canadian cinema was still young, the Toronto International Film Festival called this one of the top 10 Canadian movies ever made.
Yeah. And
it was at one time on one list called by a Quebecois publication, it was called the best Quebecois film. So I think I predict it will, come back into a cycle in public favor. But you can tell from that recent CBC list where the 50 best Canadian films were all by Denis Villeneuve that people have forgotten about this movie somewhat.
And I'm really pissed off that the National Film Board of Canada has it on their website for you to watch for free, but you can only watch it either dubbed in English or in French
with
subtitles. Yeah, and I watch it dubbed in English too, and you lose a lot. Even though I'm pretty sure it's her doing her own dialogue, but it's badly dubbed.
I could tell the quality of the movie despite the dub, but I was still angry at the dub.
You know what I did? I actually picked a couple of scenes that I really liked, and then I just watched the French version after. Yeah.
She is great. I think this is a cool announcement of an actress. There was an opportunity for her to build on this. I don't know if she ever did. I don't know if she ever went to the States.
No, but she was huge at home, and she was a singer as well. So she was like a best-selling recording artist as well.
And Robert Altman took notice of this movie and hired his photographer for 9 of his next movies from this movie.
Yeah, also because he made most of them in Montreal.
Oh, all right. Well, that makes sense.
You don't have Montreal a lot. Yeah,
you don't have to move your photographers around.
Yep. So that's actually all of our award winners. So we're moving on to the rest of the competition. Starting us off, The American Friend, Der Amerikanische Freund by Wim Wenders, West Germany and France, based on the novel Ripley's Game by Patricia Highsmith. Tom Ripley is offended by a picture framer who rejects him when he greets him, so when he is approached to pull off a murder, he decides to recommend this man to do it to kind of get him in trouble. Also because he's dying of leukemia and gets him to do the job, but he ends up interfering anyway. This is Wenders' tribute to American film noir, including the fact that he has Nicholas Ray and Samuel Fuller appear in the movie as characters. This movie has been restored recently, and I'm so glad because it is one of the most beautiful films he has ever made. Every shot by it's Robbie Mueller.
Robbie Mueller, that's right. All those reds
and greens and like the gels, basically. Like it's such an incredibly beautiful film. It's such a cool film. It manages to be stylish and sexy, despite the fact that it's like the least gay Ripley film ever made. Particularly when you have like stringy looking Dennis Hopper playing him. But I love his performance. I love Bruno Ganz's performance. We have the woman from The Wounded Man as his wife. I don't know if you know The Wounded Man. It's a Blu-ray that you are currently shoving up your ass.
It's in my ass right now. It's wounding this man.
Wenders has made a lot of movies. He's been at Cannes many, many, many times. We'll talk about him when he wins the Palme d'Or. We talked about him when he won the Grand Jury Prize. And he also won Best Director, which we'll talk about. And we've not liked some of his films, like Hammett, I thought was particularly bad. I believe you did too.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is one of his gems. I love this film.
I do like this movie. I think it has script problems, but I forgive them on the basis of a Nicholas Ray quote that feels salient, which is, if the whole movie was in the script, why make the movie at all?
Right.
I just think the movie hinges on the premise that Hopper's able to manipulate Gans into completing a hit on someone by convincing him he's dying of cancer. That's asking me to suspend my disbelief quite a bit. But once I accept it and get into it, it is really suspenseful, really cool. The train scene is incredible. The subway station scene is incredible.
Yeah. The thing with the ambulance at the end.
Oh yeah, on the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really gorgeous. I've been to a lot of those places in Hamburg, including that station, which was fairly new at the time the movie was made. So that was exciting for me. Mm-hmm. And the only real knock I have against the movie is the Wenders director's commentary is boring. He is a great filmmaker, but he is not an exciting intellectual.
Right. We'll also talk about him when he's the president of a jury as well.
But overall, like my moaning about some plot details, I still think there's room for a technical grand prize for Robbie Mueller. There's room for a jury prize. There's even room for because I like Bruno Gans as much as Fernando Rey. Mm-hmm. I think this movie was very well made.
Yeah.
And next we have An Average Little Movie.
And next we have An Average Little Man, Un borghese piccolo piccolo, by Mario Monicelli, who had been here with Guardie e Ladri in 1952, sorry for my Italian, L'Armata Brancaleone in 1966, Vogliamo I Colonnelli in 1973, and later would be back with Le due vite di Mattia Pascal. This movie is about... What is this movie about? A man prepares his son for the examination to become a civil servant before a shocking turn of events turns him into a vigilante out for revenge. This movie
is crazy.
I never saw this movie coming.
It starts as an all'italiana commedia.
Yeah, because it's Mario Monicelli who made Big Deal on Madonna Street, which is a comedy that I adore.
And
so
that's
what
I'm
expecting. And also there's all this stuff about like, he wants his son, because this is the structure in Italy, which is that civil servants, there's like one general exam that everyone sits down to.
Right.
And I guess they choose the top whatever percentile of them to get jobs in the civil service. And to just get to sit the exam is a thing. So like he's pulling strings because he's already a civil servant himself. Even though his son's a bit of a schmo, he wants him to get in so that he has a secure job. And so he's, back deals and secret handshakes. And then he even joins the Masons and we go through all of these religious rites. So I'm thinking it's a satire on, society. And again, this is Italy during a very turbulent political time, so it's making commentary on the way things are going.
And the whole all the score is in a major key. Like it's very, it's very light on its feet. But
and his wife is played by a very dubbed Shelley Winters,
who's had a stroke for half the movie.
Yeah, she made a lot of movies in Italy, and I think this is after she was married to Vittorio Gassman. So something else must have drawn her there, or she was just offered money to work in Italy, and that's why. I don't know. But
she won an Italian acting prize for this.
Yeah, which is crazy because she's really only in a few scenes. Because what happens early in the movie is that they are walking to the building for him to walk in and sit the exam when bank robbers on the run from the cops spray bullets everywhere, and his son catches a stray and dies. And then the rest of the movie is him figuring out who the bank robber was who had shot him, and then Secret in Their Eyes style taking him to his secret fishing hut, tying him up, and trying to kill him before whatever happens. But things get dark.
Things get crazy dark. Like it's grisly how he ties him up and tortures him. And then the movie ends on the suspenseful note, suggesting that he now has a taste for bloody vengeance and might do it again to somebody else who just flips him off.
How many times can you hit that kid on the head before he dies of it? And then he actually does die. But yes, so if it is saying something about Italian politics and society, I leave it to someone much more studied on the subject to reveal. I just find it interesting that this movie that has this tongue-in-cheek, ironic approach to commentary then becomes a sincere vigilante movie. There isn't much irony after the twist.
Yeah, this is, I suspect, a result of bad filmmaking. It's not a deliberate switch in genre mode. Or
and
mode.
This is late in his career, so it's like, what's going on with him that he's suddenly angry at people for loving the kind of movie he was making?
Maybe somebody fucked with his movie on the cutting room floor. Like,
I don't know.
You need to take this scene out, you need to take this scene out, make it lighter. And so they made this lopsided final product.
Also, I love these European movies, especially from the 70s, where it's like men killing each other, but they're all driving cars that look like something Cousin It would drive in The Addams Family. Also, Shelley Winters accomplishes a lot by heating up a spoon in this movie. Did you notice that? She irons his tie.
She also serves him some congealed pasta with some heated up tomato sauce.
Right.
It was really disturbing.
Oh no, I would totally eat that. Next, we have Black Joy by Anthony Simmons from the United Kingdom.
And isn't it?
A naive young man who is also fucking gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Arrives in London from Guyana in search of his father, but instead of finding him, learns to survive the streets of Brixton the hard way. This movie has a white director, and it's produced by Martin Campbell, who would later direct James Bond movies like GoldenEye. And it's edited by Tom Noble, who would be nominated for an Oscar for Thelma and Louise. And this movie is a bit of a time capsule. You know, Jimmy Cliff had just brought reggae to the UK and later the world with The Harder They Come in the mid-70s.
You've got Police and Thieves by Junior Murvin on the soundtrack.
Yeah. And it's based on a play as well, and you can kind of tell. I think at its heart, it's questioning the wisdom of saying that you gotta survive the tough streets by becoming ruthless yourself, and is it worth it? Do you gain anything worthwhile by doing that? Because he's so sweet and sincere, but then he learns to be a player too in order to, keep his own. But I think what's most valuable about this movie really is the fact that it records a time that no longer exists. I mean, I don't think I've been to Brixton, but I've been to London, and I know that part of London definitely doesn't look like that anymore. But I think you said you hung out in that neighborhood. So
yeah, no, I walked through those sections of Brixton, and a lot of it does still look like that, which was really exciting.
But it's like £1,000 a week rent as opposed to
absolutely. Yeah. Mike and I looked at some realtor storefronts when we were just in Shoreditch, and some of these places are like $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's got like a bright spirit, and it's bouncy. It's not exceptionally memorable, but I thought it was fun.
I really enjoyed it. It went down really easy. Killer soundtrack.
Yes.
And yeah, just a vibe. I enjoyed it as a vibe.
Yeah. And he's fucking gorgeous.
He's gorgeous. And also, pardon my whitey ignorance, but I couldn't tell that this was like a white guy capitalizing on blaxploitation popularity.
No, I couldn't tell either. But it is interesting how much blaxploitation is directed by white, and specifically a lot of Jewish directors in this period. Also, she charges £2 for sex, which is amazing. Take me back to those days.
Reminds me of that line in Zola when she says, "Pussy is worth thousands."
Next, we have Bound for Glory by Hal Ashby from the USA. Ashby had been here with The Last Detail. He would come back with Coming Home and Being There. I think his last movie is, it's not To Live and Die in LA. That's Friedkin. What's the last film that he did?
8 Million Ways to Die?
Yes, that's right. In the mid-'80s, because he died of cancer quite young. This is a fictionalized account of singer-songwriter Woody Guthrie's rise to fame as the voice of the forgotten man in the Depression-era American Dust Bowl. Um, this is Cannes 1977. So this movie is actually coming to the festival after winning 2 Oscars, including Best Cinematography and Best Adapted Score,
Yeah.
and was nominated for Best Picture, but not for Best Director. It stars not Mike Carradine, but the other one, David. And
This is still during the 5 minutes when this Carradine can get it.
people say that. I don't get it at all. He's super, super not sexy to me in the way that Keith, who we'll talk about in a minute, really is. We also have early moments with Mary Kay Place.
Her debut.
Yeah. Brian James and RoboCop's Ronnie Cox. Total Recall's Ronnie Cox in this movie.
And we've got James Howe. Is that his name?
Who's that?
Legendary Chinese actor.
Oh,
James
I know
Hong?
who you're talking about, as the diner owner.
Yeah,
Yes.
the one who's the grandpa in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. This movie's more inspired by the music of Woody Guthrie than it is by the biographical facts. He was named Woodrow after Woodrow Wilson before Woodrow Wilson became president, which I find very interesting.
Weird.
And I feel like probably one of its most celebrated aspects is the cinematography by the great Haskell Wexler, winning his 2nd Oscar. He had also done Virginia Woolf.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's particularly... I like this movie. I'd seen it before. I found it much more difficult to sit through a second time because I don't know that it really hits me all that deep. But it is important that this movie dispels the myth of the Depression as this time when Americans all banded together and got through a tough time hand in hand, because that is a popular sentiment in the 70s. You have an economic downturn in the 70s. If you've seen Licorice Pizza and you remember all those cars lined up for gas and all that stuff. And the 30s is very much in vogue in the 70s, in part because that just happens, and in part because people are watching old movies on TV at levels that they never had before. So there's this idea of this romantic, like post-Watergate America is broken and cynical, but there was a time when we were all believers. We were all took care of each other, and even through these hard times. And actually what we see in this film is that this country has been the same. People have been terrible for all of human history, including the levels of selfishness and corruption that he comes up against.
You look at America today and its obsession with borders. Just look at the California border in this movie.
Absolutely, yeah. And the fact that they can't even cross a state line.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't present him as a saint either.
No.
He's
not Tom Joad.
No, he's not Tom Joad. And one of the reasons why he wants to be on the road inspiring people with his songs is because he can't be with his family. He can't. I think there's a depression issue or something like that going on with this guy. He ended up dying quite young of a disease. Huntington's disease, I think.
Yeah, it is Huntington's, which is like really bad. It's like muscular dystrophy.
Yeah, it's gory. And so one of the things I find a bit of a flaw in this movie, Melinda Dillon plays his wife, and the movie makes her a bit too much of a shrew sometimes. Like,
She's
I don't think.
Trip.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't think the fact that she wants to make sure the bills are paid and that her kids are fed is something to hate her for. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't not believe in you just because she wants everyone to survive.
She's not a scold like the movie makes her out to be.
Absolutely.
I like to imagine the movie this could have been if somebody with more charisma than David Carradine was in it. And a lot of people were like this. The movie was shopped around to a lot of up-and-comers at the time.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman was interested, but then withdrew when they said they wanted to film it sooner than he was prepared to. He wanted to learn guitar first. Jack Nicholson turned it down, but then suggested they give it to Bob Dylan. Terrible idea. Richard Dreyfuss wanted more money. Tim Buckley got close to taking the part, but then died of overdose. Oh. And it was also offered to Chris Christopherson, but he turned it down because he didn't think he looked like Guthrie. And he's absolutely right, because he's way too hot to play Woody Guthrie.
But he would be great in the role because he has the charisma, and also he's got that like deep set leathery Americanness that you need to. Because Dustin Hoffman is great, but and Richard Dreyfuss are great, but they're also like, if you're gonna cast someone who is how do I say this without being offensive? Notably Jewish.
Yeah.
You can't cast someone who I associate with urban drama. You know what I mean? It has to be someone who came from the rural soil.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman, maybe because I associate him with The Graduate, but like he always has the air of the intelligentsia to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But whereas Christopherson is believable as somebody who walks out on his family.
Totally. And he not just walks out on his family, he is set up in California for quite a while before he finally sends for his family to come out and join them. You know what I mean? And he's always talking about how like the money doesn't mean anything. Making popular songs doesn't mean anything. And it's just like, well, if it doesn't mean anything, then why are you fighting for people to have more money? Like, why are you fighting against poverty if money means nothing? It's fine if you don't want to be super rich, but like, why don't you care about keeping things going so that you can continue to help people? You know, the movie points out his contradictions in this way, but it's also a movie about the power of music over speeches. The fact that all these people wanting to unionize these fruit pickers can never get anywhere. And then he just busts out a guitar and suddenly the world just changes. And I really appreciated that aspect of the story.
Yeah.
Why is Melinda Dillon playing two parts?
Oh, because she was so visibly upset when her shooting was done because she loved making the movie so badly that Hal Ashby gave her another part. That's in the production notes. Isn't that stupid?
Yeah, I'm giving you the look that I give you when you say stupid things.
No, I read that and I thought that's stupid.
But that's not him, though. Hal Ashby was like
precious,
tassel wearing hippie. You know what I mean?
This movie also was given to him on the basis of his previous success. I think there wasn't even a screenplay yet, and they were like, "We'll let Hal Ashby do it."
Well, he's huge at this. I mean, Shampoo was a major hit.
Yeah,
but it's his only. I think it's his only movie that's like a period biopic. I know Shampoo's a period movie, but it's a period biopic, and then it's also David Carradine's only bid at Prestige.
Yeah, this is his straight and narrow movie. Yeah. It's his Prestige movie. It's worth noting, speaking about the Wexler photography, this movie is the first use of Steadicam.
Oh, okay.
And there's one really virtuosic shot that starts in a crane at the migrant camp where there's 900 extras, and then it follows Carradine through the migrant camp. And the guy who made the Steadicam, he's the one who's actually operating it under Wexler's guidance, and he gets off the crane and then walks through the camp. And it's pretty awesome to look at. Also, all the Dust Bowl scenes are incredible. This movie is gorgeous. It's just unimpactful.
And forgotten. I mean, I had to go deep to find it. Yeah.
Hilariously.
Because Days of Heaven is the same movie, but is way more popular.
I've now watched 4 out of 5 of the Best Picture noms of 1976 from 1976. The one I still have to watch, Rocky.
Oh, well, I have to watch it too because I haven't seen it since I was a teenager and I barely remember it.
I know Rocky 3 and 4 really well.
Next up, Budapest Tales, Budapesti mesék by István Szabó. We talked about him with Hanussen in 1988. He won Best Screenplay for Mephisto as well as an Oscar in 1981 and came back to Cannes with Colonel Redl in 1985. This is a much earlier film from his career about a group of unrelated strangers who find a derelict streetcar on the beach that they place back on the tracks, which I need information about that, and push it towards the city, along the way picking up various passengers and experiencing highly symbolic microcosms of society, attempting to operate despite the oppressive forces of needs and desire. This is a movie about symbolism, and for a movie about symbolism, I have to say it's quite enjoyable.
It's very enjoyable.
Very short. It's just not subtle. And thankfully, because it's short and because everyone in it is good and it looks good, it's been restored quite nicely. All is forgiven. But, it's not in the least bit subtle.
Yeah, it feels like an adaptation of a short story. It feels like a parable.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable. I wasn't bored. I thought it was quite well crafted. The scenes where the tram car is flooded are quite expertly done.
Yeah.
And it's part of this class of Eastern Bloc cinema where characters are besides the point.
Right.
Like it's about moving things forward, and if you can't tell people apart, that's kind of all right because that's sort of the ideology we're working in anyway. That these people can't afford the joys of individualism. And I was really not annoyed that I watched it. And I actually like it more than Hanussen, to be honest, because Hanussen overstays its welcome and is too self-serious.
Yeah, is Hungary winning anything in this era at Cannes? Because I feel like we've watched stuff and they're all good, they're well made, but they're all screeds. And I wonder if the jury is just not into lack of sort of...
I mean, I've been trying to develop my own statistic of what language of movies show up the most. Hungarian films have shown up 40 times. Like, it's a prominent cinema at Cannes, much more
but
than...
I mean, particularly in this socialist era of like every movie being capital A about something, I wonder if they ever win.
Well,
because I much prefer the Soviet propaganda that manipulates my emotions as well as impressing me with,
or Polish cinema.
Yeah.
The Red and the White probably would have won if 1968 didn't happen. Right. It would have won something. Electra, My Love wins. No, it doesn't win. But Another Way wins an acting prize in the early 80s.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Which I also found a DVD of.
But you make a good point. Like, how many of these movies hit?
Next up. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun.
Hey, Bill.
You know you'll never get
rich. Let me tell you, it's better than digging a ditch.
Working at the car wash.
Everybody sing it with me, car wash, yeah.
I'm so happy that this movie played at Cannes. I love the thought of Roberto Rossellini sitting in his seat and watching Car Wash by Michael Schultz. This is also an interesting inclusion because it is also a film that played in North America a year before, and I wonder what the reason was for the choice, but who cares? I love this movie. A day in the life of a Los Angeles car wash, its employees, and a variety of curious customers, including cameos by Richard Pryor and the Pointer Sisters.
Yep.
This movie won an award for the music at Cannes. It's written by Joel Schumacher, of all people.
And has scrubbed out performances by Danny DeVito and Brooke Adams.
Yes. Although you do see Brooke Adams a little bit at the end. Yeah. This movie also has what would now be defined as either a non-binary or trans character who is quite fierce for the 70s in a way that the movie never makes him feel ashamed.
Played by Huggy Bear.
Is never punished for. I first learned about this movie from the Celluloid Closet because they used that clip of him saying, "I'm more man than you'll ever be and more woman than you'll ever get."
A sophisticated sissy, as Vito Russo calls him.
That's right. Played by Antonio Fargas, who is antagonized by the great Bill Duke, who later directed a movie in competition called A Rage in Harlem, which is amazing.
And he made a really cool movie with Lawrence Fishburne called Deep Cover.
Oh, right. Which I've never seen. This movie also has Melanie Mayron, who I adore, also in Missing. Not as recognizable because this is before she had her nose done and I think her teeth. Her jaw or something. She had her face done before the 80s. That's it. I mean, this movie is just like a day in the life of this car wash, all the various pranks that these guys are up to, the ins and outs. There's a lot of these like ensemble pieces, like the Hollywood Nights, or what was the other one that I watched? I mean, it's kind of American Graffiti as well, where it's just like we're in and out of all these people and the soundtrack is kind of the excuse. And
it's similar to Do the Right Thing and American Graffiti in that it's framed by the voice of a DJ.
Yes, that's right. Does this car wash have... It has a car wash. It has an automated car wash, but it also has employees actually doing the scrubbing.
Yep.
It also has gas and a shoe shine and a cafe, or was the cafe separate?
And waxing.
Right.
I think the cafe was across the street.
Okay. It also has the great Lorraine Gary, Mrs. Brody from Jaws, who was also in real life Mrs. Sidney Sheinberg, who was the head of Universal, who has a great part as the woman who doesn't, the Beverly Hills matron who doesn't want her son barfing in the car.
This movie does what I think an average little man is trying to do by mixing tone, but it does it skillfully.
Oh yeah.
You have a lot of this farce, and at the very end, you have this sober moment where Bill Duke wants to stick up the car wash, and the guy who manages the car wash talks him out of it and tells him, like, you don't want this future, you don't want to take this path, and then the movie ends like that, and it doesn't feel like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
It all feels of a piece.
Yeah.
And I think it's partly because the music keeps flowing through it, and because this movie is way better edited than it needs to be.
Absolutely. No, you do not underestimate the quality of this film. It is so good. It's also about a vanishing world, which is a lot like that's what American Graffiti is also about. That's what the Hollywood Nights is all about, which is that they're talking about, because people keep saying, why do you have people working at your car wash? They're all automated now.
Yeah.
And it's about it's like the last of that kind, and the fact that that'll probably change in the near future.
Yeah.
Tons of fun. Highly recommend.
Yeah.
Next, we have The Duellists by Ridley Scott. This is Ridley Scott's feature film debut about an hussar who is sent by his superior to inform a fellow officer that he is under arrest for injuring the nephew of the mayor of Strasbourg. But the man instead takes issue with the messenger and hounds him for years in a series of duels over 20 years, as in the background, Napoleon's fate is determined by world events. The two men, the reasonable man is played by my boyfriend Keith Carradine in Uma Thurman wigs, and the unreasonable man is played by Harvey Keitel, who's also wearing pigtails.
They look like a farmer's market in Kensington Market.
Totally. This is Ridley Scott's only time at Cannes, and there are articles about him saying that he was told he was going to win the Palme, but that Roberto Rossellini had been bribed to give it to Padre Padrone instead. Who knows? He did not attend.
So there's one article that says, in the end, their bribe didn't pay off, which made it seem like it was a Torre Scola's camp that tried to do the bribe, and then Padre Padrone won instead.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
But I saw another one where Ridley Scott said, that he was told he was going to win if that sort of thing hadn't happened. But he didn't attend. He hated the thought of ever going to the Cannes Film Festival, and he never had a film in competition ever again. And I wonder why, because Ridley Scott in general, he's not a curmudgeonly filmmaker. He's actually, I'm not like a huge devoted fan, because he's a real bro choice, even though I've loved some of his movies. His devoted fans are the ones who love everything he does, even when it's bad, and there's way more bad than good with him.
I agree.
But I do like him, and I really love this generous and very gracious man who every time he has a microphone at his mouth will always talk about the value of the contributions of everybody he works with on his films. He never misses an opportunity to praise collaborators, whether it's crew or cast. And this is why Susan Sarandon said, she goes, he has a crew that will drive off a cliff for him, no pun intended. Like they love him. This movie is based on Joseph Conrad's 1908 story, The Duel. It won an award for the best first work and was originally a project for French television, but due to Ridley Scott's persistence and enthusiasm for the project, it turned into a feature. There's also a lot of supporting parts by notable actors like Pete Postlethwaite.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, very small. I mean, he's not notable at the time. Tom Conti and Albert Finney would have been better known at the time. The women are not quite as well known now, like Diana Quick, Christina Rains, Jenny Ronacre is the only one that I know. I really appreciate this movie. I don't love it, because again, he really is such a bro choice.
And it's before he gives good roles to women.
True, which he doesn't do all that often anyway, even though he is very pro that. But
even Blade Runner gives actresses something to bite off. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no, I mean there's plenty of examples of it, but I do think of him for the most part being like a guy-heavy director, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because when he does have great parts for women, he never tokenizes them, in my recollection,
or valorizes them. He doesn't do gender ass kissing either. Like he likes women as complex people. Yeah, and
he was asked about that because, when he made The Last Duel in the House of Gucci in the same year, and he was asked about that, and he said, my mom was a fascinating and complex and fierce individual. Like, why wouldn't I know that women are worthy subjects in movies? I like this film. I think the thing I appreciate about it most is that you do see the birth of an artist. This is his first feature, and it is so Gorgeously filmed. It is so solidly directed. I mean, he basically had 2 locations and 3 costumes to make Napoleonic France happen on screen, and this movie looks better than his multi-billion-dollar project of Napoleon from a couple years ago,
which has them bombing the Sphinx, which never historically happened.
Right, because he's become that guy a bit, or he has been for a while. So I appreciate that aspect of this film. This movie looks like it could have been made last year, which is not something I can say about just about any other film in this competition.
You know what it reminds me of in narrative trajectory and in its economical production? The Green Knight.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
Like, it's clear he's working with a small budget, but it looks like money is on the screen.
Yeah.
All of the duels are very disturbing. I was wincing a lot. When people get gashed, I shudder. And this is actually my best actor choice, Harvey Keitel. This is one of my favorite Harvey Keitel performances ever. He's so good in this. And this is when he is still bankable.
Yeah.
So,
not a bad choice. I wouldn't fully disagree. I've seen this movie twice and I don't really need to watch it again, but I do appreciate what's great about it. I do appreciate that it's not a dumb guy's adaptation of Joseph Conrad as well. It really does get into the psychological complexity of his very impossible to read writing.
I watched it on my phone to and from work, and then when I was done, I thought, oh, what a bummer. This is actually one of the ones I'm supposed to make Mike watch instead of the ones I make him suffer through.
We haven't had a Mike crosses a room incident in a long time. I hope he's okay.
No. I made him watch The Killing of a Chinese Bookie 2 weekends ago. You can imagine how that went down.
Well, it's not one of his stronger movies.
Hard to hate, though. It's very audacious.
No, the atmosphere is great, but it's one of his weakest films, I find.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're here to talk about, Greg. But do give Mike my love. Moving on. Group Portrait with a Lady, Gruppenbild mit Dame by Aleksandar Petrović. We just talked about him with I Even Met Happy Gypsies.
Great movie.
Yes. For which he won the Grand Jury Prize in 1967. He had also been here with And Love Has Vanished in 1962, and also was here with It Rains in My Village in 1969. I think this movie is about a woman reflecting on an affair she had with a Russian prisoner during the Second World War, when they both worked as wreath makers under German supervision. This movie is based on the novel by Heinrich Böll, a very famous German writer who also wrote the book a movie that I really like by Volker Schlondorf called The Lost Honor of Katharina Blum is based on.
He's a Nobel winner.
What the hell is going on in this movie? How many incomprehensible movies do we have to watch in this festival? Either I am suffering already from dementia, which as someone who looked after a dad with dementia, I might already be in the throes of, or we've just got a lot of... Because I actually genuinely didn't know. This movie begins with this story about a nun who died, who was accused of some kind of... what's the word I'm looking for? Sacrilegious mysticism of some kind. And that Romy Schneider's character was an acolyte or a follower of hers of some kind. And then Romy Schneider is making wreaths with a very cute young Brad Dourif as a Russian prisoner of war. Dubbed
Last time you'll ever say that.
Yeah, probably. But he's cute. I don't know, the glasses and the coat. I would have made out with him in the leaves. And then at the end, is it like a magic realism thing where she's imagining all of the people that she's known coming to her house for drinks? Because they're all like still young. I genuinely did not understand. This movie felt like someone took a 3-hour epic and then cut more than half of it out and then rearranged the scenes.
It honestly reminded me of the theatrical edit of Ridley Scott's Legend, where you're like, I think I know what's going on, but what's going on? And it's not.
Is there like a longer cut? I hate that movie so.
Yeah, there's a longer cut, and it doesn't have Tangerine Dream. Instead, it has Jerry Goldsmith, and it makes sense.
Okay, right.
And it's more stylistically admirable, but still bad.
Okay.
This I don't get it, and it's not because I'm not trying. It's because it's failing. I can't grasp the plot.
Okay, I genuinely was not sure because I think I blinked out a few times. So I genuinely was not sure if I missed something or if this movie genuinely did not make sense.
The only reason I can't give it a Dan is because I can't talk about it enough.
Right.
Yeah. Like it went through my brain that much. You can't force me to rewatch this movie. It was torture, and I think I hate Romy Schneider now.
I know, because we've never seen her in anything good.
Apparently, I'm supposed to see La Piscine.
I hate that movie too. I fell asleep during that, but it's hot. Like, it's a sexy movie. It's it's remade by Guadagnino as A Bigger Splash.
Oh,
it's the same movie.
Is there a relationship between the Francois Ozon movie and?
No.
Okay.
All right, moving on. The Hunters, Kυνηγοί by Theo Angelopoulos from Greece. 2 Greek movies and 2 Canadian movies in the year of my birth. Can you imagine? Angelopoulos first came to Cannes with this movie, and then came back with Voyage to Kythera in 1984, for which he won Best Screenplay. The Suspended Step of the Stork, which is a title I just adore. Το μετέωρο βήμα του Πελαργού in Greek, in 1991. Ulysses Gaze won him the Grand Jury Prize in 95. Eternity in a Day won him the Palm in 1998. We already talked about it. The Hunters is part 3 of a trilogy of history by Angelopoulos about a group of hunters who find a frozen body on a snowy mountaintop that has been frozen since the Civil War of the late 40s. And in deciding what to do about it, they flash back to key moments in Greek history, focused mostly on the turmoil of the 60s that led to the military coup of 1967.
There's a surrealist element to it as well. They bring his body into this great hall that has that has history through the decades. But then upon bringing him there, they have to start an inquest because they can't figure out why his body is still freshly bleeding.
Right, that's right. Yeah.
So it's like his body is out of history.
You're right. It is a surrealist element. It is interesting to me that Angelopoulos did not start by directing theater before he got into film, because that is what his movies remind me of, is like really great political surrealist theater of these long sequences of a conversation that veers into a dance, that veers into a song, that veers into a crowd,
sequence shots.
Yeah, and we cover like 40 years of history in one moment. And, I know something about this because it is my family background culture, and I still don't fully understand what's happening in most of his movies. And I don't mind. I kind of like allowing the general feeling of this historical investigation to wash over me.
Yeah, it's like reading John Donne in school. Like, you have to learn about the allusions and then you love it even more. But on the face of it, you love it because it all works formally.
Yeah. This is not my favorite that I've seen of his, but I think it's really cool.
I adore this movie, and I'm stunned it doesn't win any awards.
Yeah, and I would like to find a proper copy of it.
I would love to. This really excited me to read a catalog on Angelopoulos. I want to learn about him from a scholar of his work, so I can appreciate more what he's talking about. Because I feel like he's going about it skillfully.
Yeah.
Unlike in Elisa, My Love, where I feel like it's a bit ham-fisted and disordered.
Yeah. This movie touches a little bit on it, like on the 40s. Because obviously he fell during the Civil War, but then a lot of it is dealing with the 60s, which is again the Greece that my parents left. So that aspect of it was very interesting to me.
Have your parents ever watched an Angelopoulos movie?
I'm pretty sure my dad never did. If he did, he never told me about it. I don't remember if my mom ever did. I don't want to watch one of his movies with him because she'll ask questions the whole time.
Yeah. I wonder if your Ozu aunt would have liked it. It's very decorative filmmaking.
I don't remember talking to him. She definitely saw his movies. She was all about. She was an unabashed snob, much more so than you or me, and so she definitely watched his films, and I think she appreciated them. But the history he's concerned with is one that she lived and knew very well. Don't forget, my dad and his sister were the children of a very prominent notary public who was imprisoned by the Germans during the war and then imprisoned by the communists in the Civil War. So they don't take kindly to other people's depictions of them.
And speaking of Greece,
we also have Iphigenia by Michael Kakoyannis, who came to Cannes with Windfall in Athens in 54, Stella in 55, which is a Melina Mercouri movie that I've seen, The Girl in Black in 56, A Matter of Dignity, which we covered in 58, The Wastrel in 61, and Electra, which is about as good as this one from 1962, also starring Irene Papas.
And let's just lay it out here. Until Lanthimos, the only Greek movies that come to Cannes are Angelopoulos and Kakoyannis.
Yeah, and this movie is the last time Greece is nominated for a Best Foreign Film Oscar until Dogtooth.
Wild.
In this film, Agamemnon angers the gods when he kills Artemis's sacred deer and is told that he must sacrifice his firstborn daughter Iphigenia in order for the winds to blow that will allow him to sail to Troy and fight a war in the name of his brother's wife, Helen. Based on the play by Euripides, whose plays were, as many of those ancient writers were, looking to find in the emotional connections and justifications for the plot points in popular mythology, looking for the emotional logic in them. And surrounding in this particular play the theme about power being an illusion, obviously, because he can conquer another civilization in war, but he has to lose not only his daughter, but the respect of his wife. Electra is actually the sequel to this, because in Electra, she kills him because he killed her daughter, and then her other daughter kills her because she killed her father, which is where the Electra complex comes from. This movie stars the great Irene Papas. This is our third time watching her, but it's our first time actually getting to hear her voice.
And she's mind-blowing.
She's so good. I love this movie so much. I've seen it so many times. It's one of my absolute favorite Greek films.
She's just on the right side of that line of chewing scenery. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You mean she's a Greek woman? Yeah. No, she's a grand lady. You know what I mean?
A grand dame.
She's magnificent is what she is, with that gorgeous black hair flying in the wind, and everyone's great in this. Tatiana Papamoscu as Iphigenia in her first film, and then hot little what's that actor's name who plays Achilles? Also in like a first or early film, and then he became like a star of shitty Greek rom-coms in the 80s.
There's another babe, a really bearded guy who I think is playing Odysseus. There's no, yeah,
that's so you.
I know, it is.
No, but I love this film. I love how gorgeously directed it is. I love the look of it. You know, they're actually filming on ancient sites, but the ancient sites are in ruins, which is not what it would have looked like in the time that this story takes place. But
which makes it work like theater.
Yeah, it feels like when I go to see plays at the Herodion when I'm in Athens.
Yeah.
What else can I say about this movie? It's stylish, it's powerful, it's impactful, and it's beautiful.
And it's filled with men's thighs.
Yeah. Golden bronzed men's thighs.
And for a movie that has the same costume over and over and the same stone rubble over and over, it's kinetic, it's exciting, it moves, and it's over 2 hours long, so that means a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really liked this one. Made me want to know more of my Greek mythology. Kids go through a phase with that, and then mine didn't last long enough.
Yeah, and they actually film scenes in Mycenae as well, which is possibly where the possible existence of King Agamemnon lived. If you go to Mycenae and you go to the ruins there, because you see the Lion's Gate, the famous Lion's Gate in this movie.
From the Bronze Age.
Right. But if you go there, there is one part that they label Agamemnon's tomb and another part that they label Clytemnestra's tomb, even though we don't know whose tombs they are. This was archaeology in the early 20th century where there wasn't as much rigor to the academia as there is now.
Right. This, by the way, is my best actress choice.
Yeah, a good choice.
Yeah.
The Lace Maker, La Dentelière by Claude Goretta from France, which means it's...
Isabelle Watch.
Isabelle Watch. This is Isabelle Huppert's breakthrough year. She wins the BAFTA for Best Newcomer for this film. She is the absolute talk of the festival for her performance in this film.
And she crosses the pond with this movie.
Yes, it's more or less her first leading role. We already talked about Goretta. He's been at the festival 3 times in total, and we're closing him out with his choice because he came with L'Invitation in 73, for which he won the jury prize, and then came back with The Death of Mario Ricci in 83.
And honestly, I'm okay.
I'm okay too. This is definitely the best of the 3 for me.
Yes.
This movie is about a shy hairdresser's assistant who works at a salon where everyone dresses like Star Wars, who meets a high-class philosophy student while on a seaside vacation and falls in love with him. And he kind of brings her out of her shell, but she is devastated when he drops her. This is based on the novel by Pascal Lenné. The plot reminds me of Sweet and Lowdown by Woody Allen as well.
In that hair salon, she shows up with hands full of melting ice cream cones and hands them to all the hairdressers working over people's hair.
Does anyone still do those double cones anymore? I always see those in old movies, but I've never seen one in my life.
Like 2 scoops?
Yeah, but it's like it's 1 cone with 2 heads.
Oh, instead of one on top of the other.
Yeah.
I feel like you're asking for an accident if you do it that way.
I don't like it either. Ice cream is like my favorite thing, but it also gives me anxiety.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I need it to be vertical. I mean this with the most... I mean this with the most flattery possible. This movie is fucking ridiculous. Can I count the ways?
Yeah, no, it is, yeah.
Okay. First of all, the whole... I mean, other than her needing to go to a mental asylum, although maybe there's some verisimilitude to that girls were brokenhearted and going to mental institutions.
Right.
As late as the 70s, that might actually be true. The way we treated women in the mental health system until very recently is quite damning to our society. But here are a bunch of things that make no goddamn sense to me. One, right after she meets the boy, there is a montage sequence of him walking along promenades and her doing her thing, like staring to space meditatively. Mm-hmm. And we see her sitting in bed eating a tomato by hand.
Yep.
In bed.
Yep.
Later on, he sees her on the promenade and he gets excited because he's been looking around all over for her in this beach town. And he runs up to her, remembering the last time he saw her eating chocolate ice cream. He says to her, "Can I get you a chocolate ice cream?" And she says, "No, thank you. I've already had 2 today." Later on, they're on a date.
Walking to show her childlikeness.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. And, like, God, like, I don't want to know her digestive situation. Later on, they're on a date walking on the beach, and she just bends over to pick up seaweed, and the scene ends. There's just, like, so many of these weird details, and I wonder if Goretta is saying to her, like, do something interesting. Go pick up some seaweed.
Well, it's also because, like, it's the relationship ruins her because it's the one that makes a woman out of her. Basically, she's basically an innocent child before she meets this guy, and then graduates to a sexual maturity.
Yeah, it's Pillion.
Right, and it's particularly contrasted against her work friend, who is this, like, very sexual, very fashionable, chic woman with her blonde hair and her eyeshadow. That woman
and her halter dress.
Totally. And, like, changes in front of her and you know, like, is always like, and is always freaking out over men. And what I appreciate about this movie is that there's no right type of woman. Like,
that's cool.
This woman is a fool for the men who keep screwing her over, but Isabel is also a proper young lady who also gets screwed over. Like, it's not a judgment on women sublimating their it's not a criticism of how women sublimate their personalities to the men in their lives.
And even his intellectual friend is not she's not looking down at Isabel, and actually
no, all of his friends are all nice to her. They actually are wondering about her, and they welcome her into the fold. And his parents, even though they're like aristocrats, they're like they're the kind who do their own gardening, and they like her too. So it's just him. It's a problem with him, and that's why he's embarrassed by her. And it's partly because he's embarrassed by everybody else, and he's not willing to admit it. His parents aren't snobs. Like, their housekeeper eats with them. Yeah. But they also lack intellectual curiosity, and he hates that about them. So he punishes Isabel for it.
Yes. And it makes it all the more ironic because he spends his main social activity is waxing Marxist with all of his upper crust friends.
Right. But he doesn't really, like, he's just a student. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's not. And I appreciate that the clothing that he's wearing, it's always emphasizing. I know that it's like the shirts and bell bottoms of the time, but there is a sense of him looking a bit like Baptiste the Clown from Children of Paradise, the way his shirts and his pants sit on him, and it makes him look a bit childlike.
It did bother me that she had split ends in a number of scenes, considering she works in a salon.
I know. But all she does is clean up the hair on the floor.
That's true. And then
professional. She also chokes on her dinner in this movie, and the amount of times that Isabel chokes on dinner in her movies, Tamila and I have a drinking game where we have to take a shot whenever she says lâche-moi, whenever she gets assaulted, or when she chokes on her dinner.
Whenever she gets assaulted.
Yeah. Particularly if she likes it.
This movie also features an important teddy bear. Early on in the movie, Isabella's over at her friend's place and she says, "Oh, I love this teddy bear." And then her friend says, "Yes, but it's really this one that I love. It's been with me since I was a child." And she holds up this tiny, like, mangy looking one. And it's so weird and such a like a throwaway detail in a scene. And then later on, we realize why we need that teddy bear there is because the friend wants to throw herself off the balcony, is stopped by Isabel, so she throws the teddy bear off the balcony.
Those windows are very not interested in safety. It is very easy to accidentally fall out of those windows. Did you notice that?
Oh,
they were very low when you open them.
In my recollection, though, like it's like a Juliet window where the balcony is like up to your tits.
Was there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The friend, when the friend group comes over, if you remember the female friend who looks like Velma from Scooby-Doo.
Yes.
That's the nurse from The Officer's Ward in 2001.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Sabina Zema, who is also in the Alain René films, but you don't want to talk about it because you'll get all snippy. I also noticed this time, because you know how at the end he comes to visit her at the asylum and she says, "Oh, I've been to Greece. I've been to all these things." And then she goes back into the room and everything she's told him is something in that room. Like there's a poster of Greece on the wall.
I figured that she
I didn't notice that the before, but I noticed it this time when I watched it.
Yeah, you've explained to me now what I wasn't believing. I was like, no, you haven't done any of this.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
She just doesn't want to get into it with him.
Yeah.
I really like this movie, and I really love that this is the movie that established her because it's so impressive how much she can do with so little. She's only like 24 when she makes this movie. She's very young and proves herself a master of the close-up in this film.
Yeah, it's a cheap entertainment, but it's still an entertainment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, next up, The Lorry, or The Truck, Le Camion, by Marguerite Duras. Marguerite Duras was more famous as a writer, but she had quite a series of interesting experiments as a director. I remember one where Jean Moreau is talking to Depardieu about washing machines. I don't remember what it's called. In this one, she places herself on camera for the first time, and Duras reads out a screenplay that she has written about a romance between a woman and a truck driver. She reads it to actor Gerard Depardieu, who responds with questions and comments.
Yep.
Like an idiot. And his like breathy talking in this movie drives me insane. And then that's just the simple setup of them sitting at a table. She reads the whole script, and then it's interrupted periodically by shots of trucks driving across the highways of France.
From the vantage point of the fictional character she's imagining inside a truck.
Right. After the screening, the crowd saw Marguerite Duras and yelled, "Lock her up," which is really funny. This movie did not go over well at Cannes. Her experiments were quite exasperating. I personally feel... I don't love this movie. I think it's really interesting. I also had a copy where the subtitles weren't working properly, and I should have just gone back and watched it again because it's only like 70 minutes or something. But I feel like if you took me to see this in a movie theater, I would enjoy just zoning out and letting the babbling brook of her voice and the soothing images just wash over me in a way that I sometimes love in a movie theater experience.
Yeah, like News from Home.
Yeah, I do not have shitty things to say about this movie, even though it's not fully my thing. And like, you know,
I like this kind of movie. This kind of nobly pretentious movie.
Yeah.
And when it's done really well, it can be one of my favorite kind of movies. I love Blue by Derek Jarman.
Right.
When the intent is to pare something down to its most essential parts, like a Brancusi sculpture.
Yeah.
I love that that pursuit. And she's paraphrased as saying that the movie is about it's about exploring imagination rather than representation. So instead of showing us the script, it's showing us her actually imagining it and conceiving it.
Yeah.
And I think you get enough of a tease at what a representation could be with the tracking shots of the trucks going by. I found myself engaged enough. I just wasn't as excited as I would have been if maybe she cast somebody more interesting than herself, and definitely somebody more interesting sitting down than Gerard Depardieu. Because Depardieu is a physical actor. He's, as David Thompson says, he's got the build of a rugby player. Yeah. He's meant to do heroics, or if he's doing drama, he needs to do drama with his arms flailing. And we need a guy who's interesting, just still and sitting. Yeah. And someone like Michel Piccoli would have been better in this movie.
Absolutely. I just appreciate that like she made these movies, you know.
Oh yeah.
We're talking about the problem of Cannes not having female directors in the 2000s, and yet in the 70s, Marguerite Duras, this funny looking little old lady who writes these dirty stories, is making these outrageously experimental films as director that are not in the least bit interested in popular appeal.
And she did not give a fuck that people were pissed off, and she didn't discourage people from leaving the theater. She thought, great, it's not meant for you if you don't want it.
Yeah. It reminded me of when I saw Lucrezia Martello introduce a film, and she said, I hope you like the movie, but if you don't, I hope you enjoy a good nap.
Good sport.
Back to Canada, we have The Old Country Where Rimbaud Died, Le Vieux Pays où Rimbaud est mort by Jean-Pierre Lefebvre.
Starring Gérard Sabourin.
Michel. This movie is about a Montreal man who flies to France to find out about his cultural ancestors, but instead finds a capital city that has taken on its own self-image as a tourist trap. Then he heads to the Riviera where he encounters romance with a court juvenile liaison who is connected to a friend of his. And has a better time. But overall, this movie is a very interesting exploration of the disillusionment of what you imagine a place to be versus what it actually is. My experiences going to Greece is very connected for me with this movie in terms of having this magical idea of this mythical land that my parents came from, and then going there and having to deal with people who are actually grocery shopping and paying taxes and dealing with, the failures of infrastructure, and don't have time for my high-minded ideas and dreams of what I want this magical place to be.
Yeah. I remember Tina telling me she thought that people in Greece were rude.
Yeah. And like that scene in the cab is word for word something I go through when I go to Greece, except not in French, basically, which is, why do you have an accent? Where are you from? And then they clearly haven't talked to anyone all day. So then they unload every thought they have about what's wrong with their country. And for some reason, I need to hear it. This movie is not a full win, but I do appreciate what it's going for. And I appreciate how it's going for it. It is very untraditional in its narrative structure, which I like about it. But the problem is that because it's a little bit too random, I don't quite latch on to anybody. I don't care deeply enough about anybody, and it's just a little bit too random to be great. But I do appreciate what it's going for. It's
a noble pursuit. It's a bit twee with the busker outside of wherever he's staying.
Right. I got real sick of that song.
Yeah, that Greek chorus dude.
Yeah.
And this Sabourin guy, I don't need any more of him. I find him gross.
Well, and also, is there anything more hideous than 70s men's casual? Like, everyone looks like the perv at the Ren Fair, with the satyr hair and the turtlenecks and the necklaces and the, like bright green bell bottoms. Like, it's a terrible time for men's casual.
Like, I rented this on iTunes, and I feel like this guy should be paying me to watch him.
I don't feel that strongly about him, but I don't find him like fascinating either. So
No.
I don't know. I liked a lot of things about this film, but overall it doesn't quite gel. All right, up next, Greg. It happens quite often that movies I never heard of, are in the competition because, they never went anywhere past the festival, so I never heard of them before. And then every once in a while we watch something where I think, my God, I had no idea this existed.
But also everyone else has forgotten, because I looked in the write-ups in Thompson on 4 of these actors, and it's only mentioned in one of their write-ups.
Yeah. The film is The Purple Taxi, Un Taxi Mauve by Yves Boisset, France, Italy, Ireland. Philippe Noiret, Charlotte Rampling,
Peter Ustinov,
and Fred Astaire, all speaking French or dubbed in French.
So 3 of those actors were bilingual. Fred Astaire was the only one who couldn't perform in French.
Yeah, and is clearly not speaking with his own voice. Philippe Noiret is on vacation in County Clare and hunting with the son of an American millionaire played by Edward Albert, also in this movie. Edward Albert is the guy from Butterflies Are Free, and his father is the photographer friend in Roman Holiday, Eddie Albert.
He looks like his genes.
Yeah,
but his genes were spliced to make the guy that you think is hot, who's in the American Horror Story shows. The one in Magic Mike. Blue eyes, tight body, old daddy boyfriend.
Oh, yeah. Matt Bomer. Yeah, he Edward Albert looks like someone who would be famous in the era when Michael York was famous. Yeah. Like that's a 70s man. Anyway, so Philippe Noiret is hunting with him. Edward Albert is the son of an American millionaire who says he's there to investigate his Irish ancestors. He's actually there to escape a family scandal. They get into trouble with an ornery new money landowner played by Peter Ustinov. And then everyone is thrown into a tizzy when Edward Albert's princess sister, played by a relentlessly smoldering Charlotte Rampling, shows up and doesn't care who she fucks or who she pisses off, and is always comfortable whipping her tit. She has bigger tits than I thought she would have, by the way. Whipping them out in front of anybody.
She's got a great body.
She is stunning. And everyone in this movie is hot for Philippe Noiret, which is how you know that it's a movie in the 70s.
He is being set up. Like, he has the most big dick energy ever. I almost believe it.
Yeah. I know. And, I love him, but no. And then there's the 2 queens at the pub, who I really love. It's like a super homophobic portrayal, and I still adore these guys.
I know what you mean.
There are a lot of very cool characters with interesting stakes and motivations, but there is not nearly enough at the center of all of this tizzy of activity that I was never bored by. I loved the setting. I loved watching everywhere that they went.
The aerial photography of the coast.
I wanted to go there. Yeah, and Ireland's in my dreams, my next planned trip. So it's it made me want to go even more.
That music by the Chieftains,
but
so good.
Yeah, and at the end, the music is the song "The Morlock Shore," which was Sinead O'Connor's favorite song. I just don't know what this movie's about.
It's about two romances, two meet not cutes that don't go anywhere, and then it ends.
And then Fred Astaire is the driver of a purple car, but what does it have to do with the plot in order to be
the title?
To be given the title? And nothing particularly important happens with him or with the car.
The publicist for this movie, or the producers for this movie, didn't know how to market it, because there's 2 different plot lines for this movie depending on where you look for it. So one source describes the movie as about a group of emotionally troubled expatriates living in a self-imposed exile in a small village on the Beara Peninsula in Ireland. Sure. Another one says, an eccentric Irish doctor drives his purple taxi through rural roads, dispensing wisdom and aid to his patients. That is not a plot point at all. No.
Nope. That's not what the movie's
about. He walks on, I think, once or twice. He might as well not be in the movie at all. I doubt he made a paycheck.
Well, and also because he offers a kind of salty wisdom that the Philippe Noiret character is already offering. Philippe Noiret's character doesn't need anybody to clear the air for him.
Yeah, and I
Because he has an affair.
No.
Sorry to cut you off. He has an affair with Charlotte Rampling, who is a master manipulator, but he doesn't seem to be fooled by her. So
yeah, I feel like nobody belongs in this movie except for Noire. Like Charlotte Rampling.
And in fact, she's not even a manipulator because she just outright tells people, like, I'm doing this for myself. I don't
Yeah, she goes too far as a bitch, where I doubt Philip Noire wants to fuck her at all, even at that hot.
Right.
And then Peter Ustinov is doing the hammiest, unnaturalistic performance. He's in a different movie completely. Mr. Albert is just chilling out there as actor number 5. And
Fred Astaire's cashing a check.
Yeah. Strange movie.
Very strange. I just can't hate it because I enjoyed sitting through it far too much. It looks good. There's nothing to it.
I want to follow the money. I need to look up like what folded indie company made it, and because there's those stories like, you know, two guys ran a car dealership and wanted to make a movie, and that's how Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer was made. I wonder if it's one of those stories.
I also wonder, I want to read the book and find out if all the questions I have make sense once you read the novel, and that it was adapted by somebody who didn't understand it, or was adapted well and then edited badly or something.
Yeah, it's got a similar problem to Group Portrait with a Lady, where you can draw a plot, but it's not an important one. So what's it really doing?
Yeah. Next, we have A Special Day, Una Giornata Particolare by Ettore Scola from Italy and Canada, oddly enough, which is why the Canadian actor John Vernon, is that his name? Yes, who plays Sophia Loren's dubbed husband in this film. Scola also came to Cannes many times. A Drama of Jealousy, Ugly, Dirty and Bad won him Best Director. La Terrazza won him Best Screenplay. Passion of Love, That Night in Varennes, which we talked about in 1982. The Family, which I really love, and Splendor in 1989. He never won a Palm.
He was jury president, as we covered, in 88.
That's right. And this is my favorite of his films. It is about Sophia Loren and Marcello Mastroianni in, I think, their 10th movie together, maybe something like that. They made many, many, many films together. And I mean, she basically said yes, as she says in that interview. She said yes when she found out she'd be starring with him, whether or not she'd read the script. She plays... How do I describe the plot? It's set on the day that Mussolini and Hitler are parading through Rome in 1938, and everyone in their giant apartment complex has put on their Sunday best to go and watch the parade. And the only people left are the bitchy nosy superintendent of the apartment building, who plays her radio super loud so that you hear the events of the day happening all the time in the background. And a housewife who gets a free day to enjoy the apartment to herself and have all 5 of her kids out and her husband. And then across the courtyard is a radio broadcaster who is about to be deported by the fascists because he's a political insurgent and he's gay. Her Mina bird escapes from her kitchen and flies across to his apartment, which is why she goes over there and meets him. And they spend a day together getting to know each other. And opening up each other's worlds, and it is so skillfully directed and precise, a movie about a small thing. This is Sophia Loren's favorite of all her own films as well. It's shot in a kind of sepia tone look, and I love that there's all these shots that emphasize the largeness of the building. This movie has a very small range of location, and yet somehow it manages to capture the entire feel and era of fascist Italy with just one apartment building, which I find really, really fascinating. And it's ridiculous that this movie did not win anything, even if it didn't win the Palme d'Or. The fact that it didn't win anything is crazy. Not just because I think it's so good, but because of how rapturously it was received at the festival is pretty nuts. And then it went on to have a great year. It got 2 Oscar nominations, including Marcello's second of 3 Best Actor nominations. He basically got an Oscar nomination for Resisting Sophia Loren, as if we're supposed to believe it. And it was nominated for Best Foreign Film. And, you know, they did the rounds of promotions. They were on, what's his name? My boyfriend. He's so cute. What's his name?
Oh, yeah. Dick Cavett.
Dick Cavett. Fuck, my brain is just fucking going. And Mussolini's actual granddaughter is in this film because, of course, Sophia Loren's sister married his son. And Her niece became an actress, and she plays one of her daughters.
This movie grabs your attention from the beginning. We get 6 minutes of the only footage we ever got of Mussolini and Hitler together, and it is
That's right.
So arresting and disturbing. And then we hear it copied or mimicked through these radio broadcasts for the rest of this movie that expands these interiors to look like churches or great halls. And through the radio we get this sonic opening up of their environment, and we feel the stakes of a world changing that will not allow them to experience the solidarity that they're having at this one moment that's happened because a bird flew from one apartment to another. A movie this foreboding shouldn't get away with being so elegant. That would normally be tacky. But it works in this, and it works in Vincere as well. I just love this movie, and I know why Rossellini didn't give it the palm, because he didn't want to give it to something that ingratiates the tastes of people who love Fellini. Things that have or the Leopard, things that have won palms before. He wants to do something left field. He wants to challenge us with what he picks as the palm. But this is palm-sized, and it's very memorable.
Yeah. Next up, we have Solemn Communion, La Communion Solennelle by René Ferré. The celebration of a First Communion flashes back to the generations of family members that came before it, watching love betrayed and families challenged by sex, death, and 2 world wars, with narration sung by popular singer Serge Reggiani. This movie has the longest acting credits in all of cinema history. There's so many people in it. And has its assistant cameraman is Eduardo Serra, who would go on to become a DP in his own right, including Oscar nominations for The Wings of the Dove and The Girl with the Pearl Necklace. He passed away a couple of years ago. This movie is... I enjoyed it.
I thought it was cool.
This is another movie where, I didn't love it because So what this movie does, it flashes back to 1900 or something, where we find out that however we're going to end up with this kid in the 70s is 2 marriages that happen. One of them is a guy who is fucking a married woman and then marries her sister and has kids with both of them. And then the other one is a setup between an industrialist and a farmer. They set the industrialist son up with one of the other guy's daughters, and then he ends up falling in love with the other daughter. And then from then on, we have all of their issue and their relatives and all these crazy stories. And you never know who's who, or at least you keep forgetting who's who and who's related to who and how they're connected. And that's kind of the point. It's supposed to be
you need that character map at the beginning of those Ferrante books.
Yeah, or when I tried to make a character map of Middlemarch, and it ended up just looking like a barcode by the time I was done with it. And my professor asked me if he could share it with his class. The only problem with that, for all that it's such a bold move, is that it also keeps us from really latching on. It's another one where it's I don't quite get in deep with these people, but the actors are all great, and I love the characters. I love the randomness of it all. I enjoyed this film. I just didn't take it anywhere deep within me,
I enjoyed its surface level. I felt like it was cartoony deliberately. I thought it was fun. I thought it was light. I think, maybe being deeper would be what would elevate it to a 4-star movie. But I also never found anything bad in it, and I thought it was quite well crafted. And I thought, in the way some scenes ended right before they normally would resolve, I thought kept it energetic. How shocking is it when that kid falls into the pail of scalding water?
Yes, it's so shocking, but it also reminds me of when my mother would relate stories like that to me of her grandfather or whatever. It's did you know your grandfather's brother fell off a cliff and died? And they tell it in this, all of these horrible things or passionate things or important things in our lives just become empty anecdotes for the people who follow us, And that's so funny. It's so dark, but it's so funny.
I find this movie very dark and funny. And there's there's something evilly democratizing about the way all the characters get the same amount of screen time, which is about 30 seconds each.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it kind. You know what it kind of reminds me of is a Where's Waldo. You know, each
Totally.
page has 200 characters in it.
And I should say, when I say these criticisms of it, I don't even mean it as the film not being good as a result. I guess I just mean that this is the reason why I probably won't watch it again. But if you want to tell me that you want to give it 4 stars, I totally get it.
I want to watch it again and see if I can grasp the characters more. Because I thought this movie, I was vibing with it.
What I want is a 4K restoration so that I can see people's faces a little clearly too, because this movie has very few close-ups. It's all in long shots, and it's an old, good enough but a little bit muddy print that obscures people's visages.
Well, and like the Purple Taxi, this one is forgotten to time.
Yeah.
And I'm a little shocked because in a movie, in a year with, in a different year, it could have been a jury prize winner. You know? You just need one less better movie in the competition.
And one of the guys mentions it in that clip of interviewing enraged people. One of them said this movie. So, all right. And the last film before we get to our Dindidoros is Wounded Game, also known as Wounded Birds, and also known as The Orphans. I don't know what the title is in Russian, by Nikolai Gubenko from the Soviet Union. A famous writer remembers his childhood in an orphanage after his parents died, and he is separated from his estranged siblings.
It's like Lord of the Flies mixed with Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
That's right. He was born during the war. The movie begins actually with him in the present day getting records of his surviving family. Mm-hmm. His parents died when he was very, very young. His brothers had been adopted by other families, so he's not even sure if they know he exists. And he had an older sister who died during the war. So he goes to find his brothers. One of them grew up with a, respected member of the party who raised him in his house. He had gone once as a kid to find him and then was rejected, so he didn't go back until he was an adult. The other one is in prison. And then we have this really long flashback to his childhood in an orphanage, learning to be tough. This is a very interesting movie for the fact that normally when you show a movie about the hardships of a child growing up in an orphanage, you're talking about society's failures, and your society's failures to take care of its vulnerable. A Soviet film is not going to be about a societal failure because they couldn't possibly fail. It's about the fact that they take care of everybody, and that if there's any problems, it's the bad apples. It's not with the system itself. So this movie's kind of like when you get on an escalator that's stopped, and you know how you have that forward momentum when you expect it to move and it doesn't. And it's kind of like that, where it's like I'm seeing all these things that I know from movies on my side of the ideological divide, but they're going in totally different directions, and I find it really jarring because I'm writing a different movie in my head and something else is happening.
Well, yeah, because it should be an indictment of the state for how these children are treated, but then the state gets to eat its cake in getting in getting ingratiated at the end through punishing one of the children's masters.
Right. Yeah, because it's this juvie center is this haven that is run by saints, and then the one guy who turns out to be bad is punished. It is interesting to see adults being able to cause each other shame, because we don't live in that world anymore. Now, if anyone's accused of anything and proven to have done something wrong, it inspires them to be even more proud of themselves. There's also elements of it's like the director got a copy of Fellini's Amarcord snuck into the country.
I thought of Amarcord watching this. Yeah,
right.
Thanks for bringing that up.
There are elements of that as well. And much like the most films from this era, it is a wealth of strong imagery, like beautiful gorgeous, like every shot looks like it's shot on 70 millimeter, the flawless faces and close up and gorgeous lighting. But as a possible Künstler roman, it doesn't really have a lot of depth. Like, we're finding out about the tough life that turned him into a famous writer, but we don't really find out much about him, and we don't find out much about the writing, other than the fact that he, as a child, a teacher told him about Pushkin, and that's about it.
Do you feel like most film worked like Cinecittà, where it's like the same costume designers, same set designers, with just different directors?
I'm sure that's the case. Yeah,
the quality is unvarying, like in terms of the craftsmanship. Like you think of this and you think of that 3-hour meet cute from 1983 that we watched.
Right.
The couple at the train station.
Yeah,
like
a railway station for two.
Yeah, like just like similarly lovely to watch, like a feast for the eyes. But yeah,
it's either the same crew or it's just because it has the same person at the head. You know, they have a standard that everybody who works for them has to meet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this was fine. Didn't love it. And the scene where the one kid gets exploded was really shocking and
really shocking.
random. Yeah. And I'm a little perplexed that it's not inside the Wikipedia plotline because it's what I took away. Like we get it also in like the extreme long.
Well, we get the look on the kid's face when he realizes he's going to die. Like when he realizes he fucked up and he's like, oh, I guess that's it for me.
Which is, I guess, so Soviet, because when I'm used to watching that on my side of the pond, it's Woody Harrelson in The Thin Red Line.
Right.
Not a 12-year-old.
Right.
I don't need to ever watch this movie again. I'm going to forget about it by next week.
Totally. I do appreciate, though, that it's 90 minutes long.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's in and out.
Yeah. We were not punished with excessive running times in this collection. That is something I did appreciate.
Yeah, I agree. We had...
I was able to watch a lot of movies in time to then leave the house for rehearsal after work. So
the most punishing movie was probably Bound for Glory, to be honest.
Yeah. All right, Greg. We are going to talk about Best in Show in a minute, but first we got to talk about Worst in Show and get it out of the way. This is the section where we go through our Dand d'Or, the Golden Turkey, what we consider to be the worst in the competition this year. This time, you and I do not have the same choice for the Dand d'Or. Will you please give us yours?
And it's not for time length. This movie must have known it was bad because it got it over with really quickly. Yep. Our shortest movie in the competition is also the worst. It's called Backbone, Kičma by Vlatko Gilić from Yugoslavia. The next time we are back in the 70s and 80s, I need to do some research into like Yugoslavia's new wave because I don't. It's a blind spot for me. They didn't teach it in world cinema.
Yeah.
I don't, and then I don't know how it breaks down into Serbian and Croatian and Bosnian cinema afterwards. A microbiologist is trying to figure out the source of a bad odor that is spreading across New Belgrade blocks, having thought that it might be in direct relation to an epidemic of suicides. That's not just a metaphor about the quality of the movie. That sounds like it could be cool if it was made by someone like Sang Ming Lang.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It sounds like The Hole. What it is a movie with a lot of cuts, like 176 in total. That's off of the IMDb page. That is all tone and no content. We basically get the premise at the halfway point, and then the main character dies. And in between, there's a lot of lamplight and the bisection of a brain. It's...
Oh, right. I don't remember this movie.
Yeah, it looked like...
It was like 2 weeks ago, by the way. I don't remember this movie. I slept through most of it. Sometimes I think about Sex with You to put myself to sleep when a movie is painful. So
it felt like a student treatment that would be turned into a better full-length feature.
Yeah.
And its apartment building setup and like its interiors remind me a lot of Shivers by David Cronenberg.
Yeah. But I spent the whole time wondering, is anything happening?
Not a thing.
Right.
And that guy's beard looked like it was glued on.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think this is not the shortest movie though. I think the Laurie is shorter.
You're right. The Laurie is shorter. Yeah. This is 81 minutes long though, which
was a thrill when I saw that when it started. But then when you make a movie where 81 minutes feels like 180, then it's not as great an experience.
Yeah, it's almost admirable how silly it is. But I'm picking it as the worst because not a thing lands. Not a character doesn't develop. This cool idea is never lifted off the page and like given import. It's my worst.
It's not a bad choice. It was definitely shortlisted for me for the Damned. The reason I didn't pick it is because I actually really did enjoy my nap while watching it and felt refreshed after. So
Yeah, for
and
me,
could tell I hadn't missed anything.
it was between that and Group Portrait with a Lady
Yeah.
for my
Also,
Damned.
same. But my choice is Bang by Jan Troell from Sweden. A man reacts to a recent divorce with crises over various women in his life, going in and out of fantasy while maintaining an affair with a woman he doesn't love and having thoughts of others he doesn't know. Jan Troell made The Emigrants in the early 70s, which is one of the greatest films ever made.
And The New Land.
And The New Land. And so I was particularly disappointed to find that he had made something so atrocious. This movie is torture from beginning to end. I couldn't fall asleep fast enough. And I just couldn't see the point of it. Nothing works. So many directors in the 70s have this sort of 8.5 style film, like all that jazz, like middle-aged men reaching into their anxieties to sort of deal with their midlife crises. And this is one of the emptiest and least resonant of them all. The fantasy sequences where he like puts on a bowler cap or whatever are so pointless. Like all of it, it's so plastic and mean and has, I guess, a cool visual style, but it's a really shallow, empty movie.
There's a very cutting edge montage sequence at the end. That is the reason I didn't pick it as my Damned. There's a very frumpy protagonist at its center who we don't deserve to watch for 100 minutes.
Yeah. And to see his dick, too.
we also get to see his dick. He's cruel to the women in his life in a way that's not explored.
Yeah. He's not an anti-hero.
No.
But he's also not in anything. I don't get a sense of this person. He's also, he's like a science teacher, right? And then he also composes experimental music. That's the sort of aesthetic flex of this film.
Yeah.
And none of it works. Like, just none of this movie works.
Yeah, it's a grab bag of ideas.
Yeah.
And that was Bang.
And that was Bang You Dead, baby. All right, Greg, it's time for the Palme d'Or.
Sono venuto a riprenderlo, mi serve a governare le pecore e a custodirle.
Se non ha messo nemmeno le penne.
In casa mia non mangerai senza produrre.
The Palme d'Or of 1977 went to Padre Padrone by Paolo and Vittorio Taviani. They had been making movies for a very long time, since the early 60s, but this is their first time at Cannes, where they win the Palme. They come back in 1982 for the Night of the Shooting Stars and win the Grand Jury Prize, and they come back one more time with Fiorile in 1993. They've also directed Isabel in a movie. This is based on Gavino Leda's autobiography about growing up with a strict father who pulled him out of school as a child and threatened his chances to ever become literate by forcing him to learn his work as a shepherd. Then, as an adult, he managed to get away to the army, earn an education, and become a published writer. This was his first book. He wrote many more after, although it remained his most famous. He was born in 1938. He is still alive today, and he appears in this movie because this film is neorealism shot through with expressions of eccentricity, as is common with the Taviani brothers. Mm-hmm. There is the awareness of the father as an actor, because he's handed his prop at the beginning of the movie by Gavino Leda, who tells him how to stand to resemble his father a little bit more. Yeah. And that school also, like with that really
the green backdrop.
Yeah, like it looks like a theater set almost, with the colors coming in through the window.
Yeah.
And then all these other eccentricities. The sheep have inner monologues.
Loved it.
Right. The communicating across valleys through musical instruments. The romance of sheep shearers farting together before one of them murders the other. And then also just this pathetic story about, people are killing each other over muddy land that is not that generous in this film. Everyone's just filthy and miserable and cold throughout this entire film. Also, a donkey is quite a place to start with fucking farm animals, just for that whole sequence where the kids are all raping the animals on the farm. A chicken is a much better choice. A donkey is ambitious. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, but I don't, I didn't even know you could stick your dick in a chicken. Like, that's harder for me to imagine. I feel like you'd kill the chicken.
I think where there's a will, there's a way. I don't
know. Next episode on Riviera Rats. There's also some really cool sequence shots, and I want to compare them to the Hunters, because the Hunters will have, in one shot, years of plot as one activity moves into another, right. And the camera starts in the long and then moves into the medium or close-up. In this, we have one shot that follows one character walking in one direction, then follows another character walking in another direction, and then follows another character. And then we have subtitles under each of them as we hear all of their internal monologues. I mean, the subtitles wouldn't have been in the Italian version. But yeah, we hear all of their internal monologues. And it's very, like, Peanuts, like there's a cool cartoony pop culture kind of flavor to it. So this movie is working in a lot of modes and has a lot of textures to it, beyond the neorealist. A lot of it is establishing shots of the land and of people toiling the land. We also get extreme long shots of corporal punishment that are unsparing and have no cuts to them whatsoever. It is similar. I mean, similar to Night of the Shooting Stars. It moves between the darkly comical and the shockingly cruel with ease. I wish that there was a better version of it. This movie deserves a scrub.
Yeah.
I don't think it will ever, in its 4K version, get to the quality of something like the Scola movie, because it was
I think it's basically, wasn't it shot originally for TV?
It was shot for TV. So the best thing we ever get of it will still be like grainy, but it took me 2 watches to realize that interior monologues were happening, because the sound design doesn't have the echo of an internal voice. It just sounds like a narrator. Right. But once I got there, I got to appreciate it. I love all of the body, like Rabelaisian humor to the movie. I love all the guys just passively making jabs at each other about their sheep fucking while they're all participating in some saint festival.
Right.
I love the acting by what's his name? Oreto Antonucci, the lead actor, the dad.
As the dad? I don't remember.
Yeah, from El Sur.
Yeah.
He is so good, and he's got levels. He's really like Homer Simpson-like, but then when it gets serious, we really do believe this kid is fearful of his dad.
Yeah.
And then we see him being pathetic and tender when he is eating the snow cone that the mom makes when their milk freezes.
Right.
I just really like this movie, and it's a bummer I have to watch it in a DVD that looks like tape from TV VHS from my childhood.
I like this movie too. It was my second time watching it, and watching it a second time was a lot easier than I thought it would be. It is, I don't know if it is the most idiosyncratic and daring movie in the competition, but it is among the more successful of the idiosyncratic and daring movies. We have a lot of experiments that don't work in this competition, and I find that the experimentation works quite well in this film. I think that blending of tones is extremely successful. I don't have trouble being carried along by this film, and I do care about this character, even though he's being played by an actor who's not super sympathetic.
No.
And who doesn't get scared for someone who thinks nothing of slicing his lip open all the time. I mean, there's an infection waiting to happen there, but I do care about him because the army scenes, like, it's tough when he gets to the army, but you're so happy that he got away. You are invested enough, and of course, his best buddy in the army is played by none other than a very cute young Nanni Moretti. So cute. Who had made his debut as a director a year before, but he would have his breakout, including his first time at Cannes, a year after this with Ecce Bombo. No, I like this film. It's not my favorite, but I like it. I can see why people were upset about it winning, because it is having been shot for television, it's not like a big cinema movie.
Yeah. It's slight.
Yes. There is a grandeur missing. And, historically, the year after this, another Italian farm movie wins the Palme d'Or, which is like a magnificent masterpiece by comparison. Or not just by comparison, it's just a magnificent film. So
the size and the scope of this movie makes me wonder if it was the straw that made Uncertain Regard happen the next year. So they can finally make movies like this, like...
possibly.
They can canvas it for that award.
Yeah, I think that's a very cogent theory. Yeah. But I also wonder if it would have been as controversial if it wasn't an Italian jury president who picked this film.
Yeah. But also but most of the bitching was about him not picking the other Italian movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And picking the movie that resembled his movies more. So, yeah.
What's the deal with Sardinia in this movie and in A Special Day? Because in this movie, this guy can't wait to escape Sardinia. And in A Special Day, we learn that Mastroianni is going to be exiled to Sardinia, where they send all the homosexuals.
Because the south of Italy is the more economically oppressed. So it's just not as great a place to be. All the boom in Italy, I mean both of these movies take place before that, but the boom in Italy that happened was in the north because that's where the industry is. Any economic success that Italy has is mainly because of the north.
Turin, Milan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And most stories in Italy about like poor people chasing a dream are about Southerners going north looking for work, which is why I Fidanzati was interesting, because it was the opposite.
Yeah. Oh, God, I want to watch that movie again.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got to say about this movie. I think it's good.
Yeah.
I recommend it. I think people should start with Night of the Shooting Stars and then go backwards.
Yeah. It's also a lovely usage of Mozart's Clarinet Concerto, which is more famous in Out of Africa, but is also used here. And also, apparently, you can just put a radio in the sink.
Yes. Also, how coincidental is it that those kids all have their internal monologues the same year that we've got the kid who's a methadone addict and the kid who's into leather in Annie Hall? Like, didn't they feel like they were talking to each other?
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, let's wrap things up. From the competition of the 1977 Cannes Film Festival, would you give the Palme d'Or to Padre Padrone by Vittorio and Paolo Taviani, or to another film?
I'd give Best Screenplay to Padre Padrone, and it would not take my palm. My palm would go to Three Women by Robert Altman. I think that movie is magnificent. I can't wait to show it to people. I've seen nothing like it. The comparison to Mulholland Drive is apt. It is similarly expansive and groundbreaking. Yet Mulholland Drive is recognized for being groundbreaking, and I feel like we're still catching up to this movie. In point of fact, I only just watched it for this episode. Absolutely loved it.
My palm goes to The American Friend by Wim Wenders.
Cool.
I really like this movie. There's a whole bunch of movies in this competition that I just love equally, but this is the one that just struck me as sharp and cool in a way that felt timeless compared to the others. And so that is why it is my choice. But had I picked A Special Day or Ifienia, I think those would have been good choices too.
A lot of good ones.
Greg, if you could give a palm to any film from 1977, the year of our Lord Bill, what movie would you pick?
Well, I have to go with a Bill movie if it's going to be a movie from the year of our Lord Bill, and that's Annie Hall. This movie is really hard to avoid choosing. I've seen it the most of any movie. I've seen it more than I watched Star Wars as a kid. I can quote large swaths of it, including the whole Marcia McLuhan scene. I love all the cameos. I love Christopher Walken. I love, her name is escaping me, but she went on to be the matriarch on Road to Avonlea.
Colleen Dewhurst.
Colleen Dewhurst.
You know, you're what my Grammy would call a real Jew.
I love Uncle Nichols. Just remember Uncle 5 Cents.
You love I'm Into Leather.
I'm Into Leather. The Lobsters. I think about the blowing of the cocaine across the coffee table all the time. 5-star movie, and still is post the HBO documentary. Bill, what is your choice?
Well, you stole my choice, Greg, because my choice is also Annie Hall. There are a lot of great movies in 77. There is also Star Wars, which aside from the culture that it engendered, is a really wonderful film.
Totally.
But Annie Hall, a lot of people don't appreciate, I mean, and I don't just mean because of all the Woody Allen mishigas, but like a lot of people don't appreciate how game-changing this movie was, because every movie since has been made like it, especially Woody's movies. But like this movie had never happened before. It was a change of pace for him. He had been making silly comedies before this, and then he decided to make something that it's not even, people call it intellectual. It's not really intellectual. It's more that it's just talky, and the joke is in everyday observations of real life instead of sight gags. Mm-hmm. The thing, though, that he doesn't quite continue after this film is that this movie has a very palpable bittersweetness to it, in the way that he regrets losing her, and the more he makes jokes about it, the more you feel the pain of the fact that this relationship is over. And that's so tender and sweet, even though in real life, I mean, he had already broken up with Diane 7 years before this, and they remained the best of friends until she died. So I don't even know that he's necessarily writing it about her in that vein, but it's certainly a tribute to what he loves about her kooky personality. He always makes jokes about, just what a nut he thinks she is. And it's always with a great deal of love, which, people misinterpreted as his misogyny, which is really, really funny.
Because he needs the eggs.
Because he needs the eggs. But yeah, I love this movie. I think it's so brilliant and so... it has a panache to it. A lot of people prefer Manhattan, but I think Annie Hall is better.
What I love so much about this movie, about his earlier movies, and what I love about Albert Brooks when he works for me, and what I love about Portnoy's Complaint, is it just lets male neurosis be male neurosis. And yes. I think because we stopped representing it, people think that we must have been more evolved, but no, we're just not representing it anymore. It still exists.
Yeah, which also is actually more the reason for Woody's cancellation than his scandals, which is that he makes movies about masculine failures in the face of women that they could never be good enough for. And that is just not in style anymore.
Yeah. And I get it, because we need to make room for
I totally get it. I think
for other subjectivities.
Fun. Yeah.
It's just this is so typical of our culture that when we need to make room for other representations and other subjectivities,
we have to demonize.
Well, the way we go about that is by redistribution of injustice.
Right.
And it's like, well, it's not that the male neurosis was not interesting. It's that we're just like it's just been done a lot,
Right.
And even Woody Allen fans get bored of it by the time it's The Curse of the Jade Scorpion.
Right. Anyway, we've gone on far too long about a movie that's not a Ken. Greg, 1977 is the end of our third season.
Yeah.
And thanks to everyone who's gotten us this far. I can't believe we have. We only have 8 seasons to go.
Yeah. Till one of us dies.
Yeah. I can't
place your
that.
bets.
Yeah. So we will be on a break for a couple months. We will have a bonus episode coming out soon, or 2 probably, because we're going to talk about the jury, or that might have already come out by the time this is released, but we are going to talk about the results of the Cannes Film Festival, and we are very much hoping that we will have Nick Bell back on the show to talk about his experience at the festival and what he thinks about the eventual award winners. And then we will be on a break for a while. We will be back with season 4 before you know it. Greg, tell us what we're doing next.
We're going all the way forward to 1990, the controversial year of winner Wild at Heart by David Lynch.
And who is on the jury in 1990, Greg?
I don't know if you've heard of her. Her name is Angelica Houston.
I have a whole page of notes.
Oh my God. And you have one sentence about Bertolucci.
Yeah. See you then.
Yeah. See you then. Thank you for listening to Riviera Rats.
Our podcast is hosted and produced by Bill Antoniou and Gregory Roseborough.
Our music is by Joe Organ.
Our artwork is by Leo Kuvaris.
Follow us on Instagram at Riviera Rats.
Write to us at ratsriviera@gmail.com.
If you want to support our show, tell your friends about us.
Leave us a rating and a review on whatever podcast app you use.